High in the Allegheny Mountains is a club that has hosted the nation's best amateur golfers for close to a century. Sunnehanna Country Club was designed by legendary golf course architect A.W. Tillinghast and opened in 1923. Not long after, the Sunnehanna Invitational began as a match play contest with a week of entertainment and golf. After some lost years to World War II, the tournament was reconstituted into today's format, a 72-hole amateur stroke play event conducted by the club itself, the first of its kind when it debuted in 1954. Since then, many of the game's greatest golfers have played here, some going on to accomplish great things in the game, many who have become first-name basis players for the fans of the game of golf: Arnold, Jack, Tiger, Jordan, Dustin, Scotty, and others. A win at the Sunnehanna Amateur is often the pinnacle of a player's amateur career. A look at recent champions includes the defending champion, Ben Warian. Back in 2020, Preston Summerhays was the winner. Alex Smalley won the 2 years prior. And in 2017, Braden Thornberry was the #1 ranked amateur golfer in the world, and he prevented Colin Morikawa from going back-to-back wins with a playoff victory in 2017. Morikawa had won in 2016. Taking a look at the golf course itself, it's a par 70, and as I mentioned, A.W. Tillinghast doing some of his best work here in his home state. The PGA head professional is John Klinchok, and it is a gem, as I mentioned, high in the Allegheny Mountains, overlooking so much scenery here in southwestern Pennsylvania, just 50 miles as the crow flies from the site of this week's U.S. Open, the Oakmont Country Club. So many past champions, past players in this event have won major championships and PGA Tour events. A look at recent winners on the PGA Tour includes a litany of past participants at the Sunnehanna Amateur, including, among others, Carl Phillips, Austin Eckroat, Sahith Theegala, Akshay Bhatia, major champion Colin Morikawa, Will Zalatoris, and Scotty Scheffler. Mentioning major championship winners who have played in this event, not necessarily having won the Sunnehanna, include Arnold Palmer, Ben Crenshaw, Tiger Woods, Webb Simpson, all the rest on this page, and Bryson DeChambeau, among others. As a matter of fact, all 4 major championships from last year were won by players who competed in the past at the Sunnehanna Amateur. In fact, they all competed in the same one a decade prior. As we take a look at the leaderboard and go out onto the golf course, it is the final round of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Just one of the most important events you'll find in the game of golf, amateur golf specifically, and they have reached the 7th hole. That's the final grouping in this competition. Excuse me, they're on 6, about to head to number 7. And if we take a look at where things stand, the man at the top, Tyler Watts, started the day at 13 under. He's just birdied his last 2 holes, and the lead has grown from 1 to 2 shots. Ryan Vuis was 12 under par when he started the day. He's birdied number 4, and he is now at 13 under. Gabriel Palacios from Argentina is in that final grouping as well, and he has bogeyed the first hole, but got that back after a birdie at number 4. He's par the 5th. Here he is at number 6, 4 shots back. So Tyler Watts, who is an accomplished player in this field, a field with many young players who have accomplished a lot in the game of golf and will accomplish a lot in the future, are walking these grounds of Sunnehanna Country Club, a place where so many players in the game not only got a chance to compete high-level amateur competition, but also some got their first taste of high-level amateur competition, including Jack Nicklaus, a 15-year-old, when he competed earlier in his career. Sunnehanna, as I mentioned, having 35 on the front for the par, 35 on the back as well, just a little bit over 7,000 yards. There's the standard bearer who will lead that final group around, letting everyone know who is where, and Tyler Watts, again, leading by a couple of shots. Tyler's certainly one of the future stars as far as this game is concerned. The 16-year-old is from Huntsville, Alabama. High schooler still, he'll graduate next year. In 107 years of the Alabama Amateur, he became the youngest winner in 2023. As we watch the action at the sixth green, I'm pleased to welcome in the co-chairman of the tournament, John Yerger. John, it's been a wonderful few days so far. Now is when the champion is going to be crowned, or at least in a few hours from now. Overall feel as far as the competition's been and the staging of this event.
I think, we talked earlier in the week how this is the youngest field in the history of the tournament, and how amateur golf is changing, and I think you're seeing that play out today. 11 of the 63 players that made the cut here are either just graduate from high school or will be in high school again this year. Among our leaders, Tyler Watts. So I think you're seeing really the next generation, probably a couple of years earlier than you might have 10 or 15 years ago. So I think that this is this is the direction that golf is going right now. I think it's really kind of exciting, and for the viewers, you're getting a chance to see a young guy like Tyler Watts potentially win this tournament. But I think it's this is an indication of what's to come. Not just the amateur level, but probably the professional level as well.
And if you take a look at those who've competed and those who've won this tournament, it is a crowning achievement to so many of them. They'll remember it for their entire careers, even if they turn professional. You speak to some of the players out on tour right now, whether they're broadcasters, major champions, they all talk about the years they spent at Sunnehanna and having flown into the Pittsburgh airport and taking the van ride up here into the mountains and playing this wonderful golf course, which opened back when Bobby Jones turned his 7 lean years into 7 championship years, 1923, the greatest amateur player in our game's history. As this course blossomed, as this club blossomed as well, when you see, like Jones, precocious young amateur players, Jones seemed to have it all together. He had a temper early in his career, but here we are a century later, and so many players of that same era, same age, actually, find themselves pretty well polished. Those high schoolers you talked about, what was their demeanor like? Most of them.
Well, I just talked one of the players, junior golfer's father, and I think for a lot of these guys, this is a big awakening. A lot of the junior tournaments, you may know within a handful of 10 to 15 players who may win. Here all of a sudden they're playing against the guys that are older than them, and they're finding out there's guys that hit it longer than them, and this is a different style of golf than what many of them are used to. So, this is an important stepping stone in terms of their own games development, but also having a greater understanding of how many really good players are out there and what's required to become even a better player than what they are now. So, I think this is all, again, I think this is really kind of exciting to see, great young players like Tyler Watts leading the tournament. And also says something about his maturity as a player to be able to sustain, 3 really, really good rounds. And obviously he's off to a good start today as well.
And sustaining the 3 rounds, then you've got the pressure of having a 1-shot lead going into the final round of, again, a tournament that's one of the elite series tournaments in amateur golf in our country. And still the 16-year-old, again, you mentioned off to a nice start, 3 consecutive pars, then a couple of birdies back-to-back. He is well on his way at this point. When you take a look at the young players as well, you see an international burgeoning of competitors.
Someone from Guatemala. And we had a leader, Adam Bresnu, who's from Morocco. I think that, that's the other thing you're seeing is that, especially when it comes to Morocco, we have a relationship with the Elite Amateur Series with them. And, they see what we're doing here as a way to enhance their player development. Adam was, I believe, the first player from Morocco to make a cut and from an amateur to make a cut in a DP World event earlier this year. So, this is, these are developmental places, tournaments, not just for American players, but for players internationally as well.
Gabriel Palacios in the final grouping from Argentina. There have been Argentine golfers for a long time making their presence known, typically on PGA Tour and PGA Tour champions, but in the amateur game recently as well.
Yep.
Can you speak to the effort that it takes for a club itself, not a governing body, not the USGA, not the RNA, to put on an event of this stature, to even be in touch with the players and get them to know that it's here and even when the dates are?
This is a year-round effort at this point, and it's all unpaid volunteers. It's a really massive undertaking, and we do some things that other tournaments certainly don't do. Housing is something that I know that ourselves in the Northeast, are important components of our tournaments. But we are, as Colin Markow mentioned, about a 2-hour van ride or bus ride, whatever the case may be, from the Pittsburgh airport here. So we have logistics with that. We have players that leave today. We have players that leave tomorrow. I can't speak highly enough about Jolene Wesner, what she does for our housing committee. It's really remarkable. And we thank the community members, a lot of our members, but also non-members that house players. Can't emphasize enough the relationships that are developed because of that and how it makes our tournament special. So there's a lot of things we do that we think we take pride in, that we've done since really the term was brought back in 1954. That I think that one of the tenets was that the friendships will be remembered long after the golf, and I think that's that plays out in what you saw Colin Morikawa. Remember about host family housing. A lot of the guys still stay in touch with who they stayed with.
And what will also be remembered is the long par 3 7th hole, 241 yards. Can you give us a little insight into how to play this hole?
Well, it's downhill, and there's a significant amount of slope right in front of the green. So a player, although it is soft, you can play the ball soft and play the ball short, and the ball will roll right up on the green. I think that in many respects, that's the smarter play in that you take out long out of the equation. The green is generally pretty flat, except for the right-hand side of the green, which there is a little bit of slope, especially in the front right. Today, because of the weather conditions, we had to go high with some of our hole locations to make sure that they stayed out of areas that may accumulate water.
And when you say go high with the hole locations, what are you referring to?
In terms of slope, not to say you want to put it on the top of a mountain, but you want to put it in a place at a slope that's not going to accumulate water and may create issues for the players in terms of when they putt. Certainly want it to be fair as well. Can I ask you, Dave, you've been to many amateur tournaments. I know this is your first time at Sunnehanna. What are your impressions of the tournament?
Well, I've heard about it for so long, having gone to school nearby, being a fan of Pennsylvania golfers, friends with Jay Sigel, such an important player in our game for so long. So I always knew the mystical hills of southwestern Pennsylvania held a little secret tournament, which everyone who was an amateur wanted to get an invitation to and wanted to compete well, make the cut, which was yesterday, top 60 in ties. 63 players made it. But when I got here, I was not prepared for the beauty of the place and just the very squared away nature of an event that's run like a family event. Everyone, like you mentioned, they have the players stay with a number of families who are Sunnehanna Country Club members and members of the golf community in the area as well. It is a very intimate setting for a very important tournament. That doesn't happen often in our game anymore.
So I think the other thing that's unique is you'll find in some cases the members end up caddying for their players. So I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing in light of some of their games, but again, I think that just shows the bonds that are created over this week, and they are, they last a lifetime in many cases.
And we talked about Colin Morikawa and what he said while he was at the U.S. Open. He was asked about trips to Pennsylvania, and he had forgotten that he had gone to Pittsburgh. He said, I've been here before. Actually, I have been here before. I've flown in here and then took the bus ride. But he talked about pure golf and how his face lit up when he talked about the Sunnehanna Amateur.
Yeah.
It was very, very meaningful to him in 2016 when he won.
The first year he won, his father actually surprised him on Father's Day. It was pretty cool. I was right next to his dad when he was coming up the 18th hole. It was really a special moment for both. Father and son would get a chance to share something like this.
So it looks like Tyler Watts missed the green at number 7. What kind of difficulties will he have?
Well, did he miss it right? If he's on the left side, he's going to have, he's going to be pitching uphill. It shouldn't be, depending on the lie, it shouldn't be a particularly difficult shot. Let's see, front center, fairly straightforward putt.
So 2 balls are on the green, actually.
Okay. Pardon me.
Tyler did not miss the green. If you break down the front nine versus the back nine first.
The front nine is about one stroke on average harder than the fifth, sixth, and seventh holes. I mean, I always tell the players, that's the one stretch. Really, I think really 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Really, I wouldn't say they determine who typically can win, but if you play those holes, the one arm finish is never a good
Never
sign.
a good thing.
Understandably. But if I think in general, holes 5, 6, and 7 typically play maybe anywhere from the third, fourth, and fifth most difficult holes, really almost on a daily basis. So we have very, very difficult par threes here that require a lot of different shots. So this in my opinion, if you can get through these holes, there's an opportunity to get it going on the backside with relatively short, and the 10th hole is up very short today, and the 11th is definitely a par 5 that is easily the easiest hole in the golf course, so you can get something going on the backside.
So that is Ryan's ball. He made double at number 6. So he's 1 over on his round. Which means Tyler Watts has a 4-shot lead currently. Wow. You played competitive golf, college golf, going from a chaser to a leader, or from a leader of 1 shot to a leader of 4 shots. There's a different mindset. Can a 16-year-old maintain that 1 shot at a time?
Well, he's won before. We talked about this. I mean, I think the one thing that people forget about Tiger Woods is his father firmly believed that learning to win was a skill. And his father hadn't played things like the Southern California Junior. I mean, his first major amateur tournament was here. You refer to it, but his father put him in a position where he would learn how to win. And there's a different level of pressure when you're the person expected to win versus just another player in the field. But, this young man has obviously shown the ability to close the deal, so to speak. And, that's a talent, and he's a heck of a good player, obviously. And I had to watch him at the Western Amateur last year, and he can really play.
He can. That was his 3rd consecutive birdie. That putt at number 6.
That's impressive. I mean, to play, 4, to birdie 5 and 6 that's not a sign of nerves. That's a sign of a guy who's has control over his game. That's for sure.
Well, he's got another putt at it, number 7. How about going 3 in a row on that stretch? 4 in a row total. What do you know about Ryan?
Well, this is second Sunnehanna Amateur. Coach Mike Small does a phenomenal job at Illinois in terms of player development. He's from California. And his, last year, I think, he played fairly well here and had a really, really good season in Illinois. I believe he's in the top, I know he's in the top 100 in Wagger, and I think maybe even better than that, and had a terrific, I think he's finished second in the regional that Illinois played in this past spring. Had a really, really good year, and he can, I think here's a case of a guy who probably most people didn't know about as a junior golfer, but Mike Small does a phenomenal job in terms of player development. And, Ryan, I know, didn't have a particularly good last hole, but, he's playing well here again playing well this week, and certainly is in contention.
Mike Small was college roommates actually, with Steve Stricker, and again, the wonderful college coach of the University of Illinois. So many great players coming out of his program.
We've had a great relationship with Illinois golf, and the assistant coach, Ruben Sanjay, who played at Iowa State, played here as well. Solid shot.
Difficult shot, good result for Ryan. He'll have that for his par. It's been said the par 3s really don't define the course, but really have a lot to be said for this golf course. Your thoughts about the par 3s this set?
not only they vary in distance, they vary in terms of geography. Some, our 16th hole will be uphill. 7th hole is obviously downhill. 5th hole is very difficult, and the green I think is almost 45 deep, meaning 45 yards. But green slopes significantly from left to right. But the other thing is Tillinghast was pretty brilliant about using the prevailing wind. The wind typically comes out of the left as well, but the green is very severe. And as I said, the 10th hole is, quintessential Tillinghast. The term people out there that know anything about his architecture call it Tiny Tim. And then the 14th hole is a par 3. It was originally a short par 4, and it's over 215 yards as well, and the green is massive. These are the second largest greens in western Pennsylvania.
Palacio's coming up the hill, Gabrielle.
The only greens that are bigger at Oakmont.
You like to leave it below the hole at Tillinghast golf courses typically. Is that the case here as well?
Unquestionably. And that's one of the really key aspects of playing golf. On Dave, you play. I'm sure you play like myself. You like playing the old style golf courses. That these guys aren't particularly patient. So when you do your setup, you try to take that into account, knowing that's their behavior is take a distance measuring device, shoot a distance, and go at the hole. They see a ball in the air, whereas these older style golf courses about angles. And in many cases, you got to look at your yardage book. You've got to look at the greens maps and say, hey, where do I need to be in relation to the hole? With more, and when you play the ball in the air, you don't really worry about that. But whether it's here, Moisset, the north and south, obviously Pinehurst, these older style courses require a different kind of thinking, which they're not particularly used to, which is to our advantage if the weather cooperates.
This is Tyler Watts for his 4th consecutive birdie. You mentioned old style golf courses. Typically those founded, designed, opened back in the 1920s, 100 years old or so. They didn't have central irrigation systems, so they played much firmer and faster. So played a lot more like links type courses. It's not links land, but links type courses where you can run shots up. It seems to be the case here as well.
Well, the other thing, if you read Tillinghast and Ross, they realized how hard the game is. They did not want to discourage the average golfer, so that's why you saw open fronts. And the really big misconception is that makes courses easier for a better player.
Oh, can you believe it? 4 in a row here for Tyler Watts.
That's remarkable. That's a heck of a stretch of golf, folks. Wow, I don't think that you just watched something pretty special. Yeah, getting back, I don't really. I think the expression, a lot of these greens are also, you hear people here now about sub-air at a place like Augusta. Certainly, you're never going to see that at most, 99% of golf courses. But
take a look at that putt again. These greens have confounded players from Nicklaus all the way up to Woods, and not this Tyler Watts.
As I said, the birdie 5, 6, and 7 is, and frankly, I would say incredible, but that's something very, very extraordinary and pretty rare.
Started it off with the 4th, which is the birdie hole. Ryan's going to drop another shot.
I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just so everyone knows, the course record's held by Zachary Bausch, who shot 60 here and had a chance to shoot 59. Tyler Watts right now has the kind of round going that you may see something really special.
Because we have a par 5 coming up in a couple of holes and a couple par 5s on the second 9 as well. You mentioned second 9's probably about a shot easier. He's currently 4 under, par 70. I don't want to talk about the 5-9 just yet, but
I didn't say it. You did. But I was going to say these greens are built for surface drainage, so they tilt one way or the other to get water off the greens. Wow.
Looks like Gabriel just missed a putt here at number 7. So he'll drop another shot as well. So Tyler started with a 1-shot lead over Ryan, 2 shots over Gabriel. He now leads both by 7. You got Cole Rook in there at, let's see, 12 under, so he's 5 back. John Daniel Culbreth is at 11, as was Gabriel and Ryan. They both bogeyed. Not going to say it's a runaway, but currently, as we take a look at the 8th hole, 423 yards, 413 yards. Tillinghast typically has bunkering on one side of the hole, the fairways, leading up to the golf hole, to the green. Hole is cut 22 on, 4 from the right-hand side to back right. What's a good position for this hole off the tee? Left side?
Yeah, left side for sure.
Tyler's been so solid with his game. I mean, he made those 4 birdie putts, but doesn't seem to be making any mistakes that we see at all.
Is it? I mean, the birdie on 6, the birdie 5 and 7 is again not is remarkable.
Pretty quickly to the tee.
Perfect.
Pretty solid junior career for Tyler. Now Gabriel Palacios. Big rip at it like the old Argentine. We lost way too early. Eduardo Romero, known as the Gato, El Gato, the cat. Golf in that country really took off years and years ago with Roberto Di Vincenzo and his major championship win. He's in the World Golf Hall of Fame. Now Ryan, who's gone double, bogey his last 2 holes.
The only South American ever win this tournament is Jaime Gonzalez, who is from Brazil and played at Oklahoma State for Mike Holder.
If Gabriel Palacios wants to win, he's going to have to stage a pretty big comeback here, because the young man at the top, 16-year-old Tyler Watts, does not seem to me to be in any kind of shape to back up at all. It's whether it's committee members such as yourself, it can be folks in the community. It takes really a village to pull an event like this off at a club like Sunnehanna, including some corporate sponsors such as First Summit Bank and Ameriserve Financial Incorporated, 2 great corporate partners of this elite amateur championship.
We couldn't do what we do without their support. And I think you mentioned the committee. I think, while I'm here, but I think people need. Brian Schirilla does a phenomenal job bringing together corporate sponsors. There's a lot of former committee members, Jim Hargraves, Denver Wharton, Scott Becker, that while they no longer have a committee, remain, heavily engaged in terms of making sure that this tournament is a success. It's important to our club. It's important to the community. As I said, this is very, very much a community event, which I think a lot of people pick up when they're here. This is not, just a club event, so to speak. We want the public to be here. And I think you guys had some great stuff with kids getting autographs on the 18th green yesterday. And again, we want the public to be here. We have a corporate tent. I think we're all too busy doing other things to have so much time, but I know that they've been incredibly busy. So,
does the community understand the impact of a Sunnehanna Amateur beyond just the community?
I think that's growing. There's a growing awareness of that, but I don't think it's probably, it's hard to explain to people. I mean, I think this is the first time you've been here, but know all about it. I think it's like any sport or activity. You know, when you're involved in it, you have an understanding. But for those that may not be involved in this case in the game of golf, it's hard for them to really comprehend the lasting impression this has on people, and it does last a lifetime. I mean, I think everyone focuses on the guys that turn professional. What they're not thinking about is those that don't, and they remember Johnstown fondly, and the people, the club, and everything else that goes on with it.
Friends of mine who turned professional late in life joined the Champions Tour, such as Mike Goodis, John Harris, Tom McKnight, so many others. When you talk about the great amateur events in our country, sure, they talk about the U.S. Amateur, gets you into the Masters if you, like McKnight, get into the finals, etc. They talk about the North and South. They talk about the Western. They talk about Sunnehanna.
Well, John Harris won here. He beat Christopher Cox and Alan Bratton, the long time now national champion coach at Oklahoma State. Alan, in fact, sent me a picture. His wife had just polished up his third place trophy in the Sunnehanna Amateur. But he and Chris Cox were both teammates at Oklahoma State when they came here and played. I think they just won the national title, in fact, as players.
I like the polishing of the third place trophy. That's how important this event is.
It was just Rocky. I mean, he sends me a picture, and we have an extensive photo library here, and I had pictures of Alan when he was here, and I sent those to him as well as Chris Cox, which they enjoy having.
Again, an enormous amount of work for the committee and all those involved with this tournament to put on a championship that is revered in the amateur game here in the U.S. Again, the first of its kind back in the day when it was reconstituted into a 72-hole stroke play amateur event. All amateur events, the important ones at least, were all match play. None of the stroke play events were 72 holes. It was club sponsored. A labor of love here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. Again, about 50 miles as the crow flies from Oakmont Country Club. And here's the leader. Tyler Watts leads by 5. Second to 8. Completely in control, almost stuck it within tap-in range. This is going to be a 2-3 footer. He's going to go 5 in a row here, John.
I think he's excited.
I think so.
Again, you don't want to get too ahead of yourself. I know the whole location's coming up, so.
How do you know the whole location's coming up? Aren't you the guy who put them out
there? I put them out there. One thing I do want to say is the staff, the employees of the club do an unbelievable job. I mean, this is a long week for everybody, and I think everyone looks forward. I hate to say it, for the tournament to kind of end at some point because everyone needs a bit of a rest. This is a very, very tough week for everybody here, so we really want to thank the employees and the staff here at Sunnehanna Country Club.
I've run tournaments in my career, and it's exciting. It's exciting, and you can't wait for it to be over. And then Sunday night, typically, this event ends on a Saturday. Saturday night, a little letdown. I got to wait 51 weeks to do this again. But they like the rest.
I won't look at golf results for the better part of 3 weeks before. I just, you want to turn off the brain for a little while.
Well, Ryan Boy's trying to stop the bleeding. Tyler Watts trying to continue the onslaught. I mean, a birdie here is 5 in a row. Got the par 5 coming up.
It's a difficult par 5. I mean, I think the par 5s have played it at par, other than the 11th hole. Both the 9th and the 15th have either played at par or, in some cases, over par, which is atypical for today's golf. 9 is well over 600 yards, as is the 15th hole. With conditions soft, they are not going to hit them in 2. Ball's not traveling. It's a little cool out, so I don't. There's 9th hole can be a difficult driving hole. So
Well, this young man, Tyler Watts, seems to have his driver, his approach game, and his putting, his entire game.
I think it's great to see Tyler wearing a purple ribbon as well. Thoughts?
Can you speak to the significance of that?
Well, I mean, I think we talked yesterday. Jay Siegel sadly passed away from pancreatic cancer. Was again, other than Bobby Jones, is easily the greatest amateur in American golf history, and certainly in the modern era. Jay is. So we felt it was a 3-time champion here, and someone we knew for a fact that loved this tournament a great deal. That there was a way to recognize Jay, and just a small token of our appreciation for what he's done for not just for us, but really, said amateur golf as a whole. He was amateur golf for the better part of 16 years. He won, as I said, 3 Northeast amateurs, 3 Porter Cups, 2 U.S. amateurs, a U.S. amateur, and a mid-amateur same year. I think with 3 mid-amateurs, British amateur, 9 Walker Cups, 11 Pennsylvania amateurs. I'm sure I'm forgetting a few things, but it's incredible.
Incredible.
Yeah. And I know you dealt with him when you're on the Champions Tour. Just a first class, just a real gentleman.
He really was. I think he liked the fact that I went to school in Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania proud.
He was very much Pennsylvania proud in his quotes. I'll talk about that. And, he talked about all the relationships he had throughout the state for all his years playing here. So,
Palacios up the hill for birdie. We saw Tyler Watts lining up his putt, but it'll be a while before he plays. I'm not even sure if Palacios got inside of him because that second shot from Watts was pretty special.
I can't emphasize enough. I mean, this is really impressive. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this happen at Sunnehanna.
That's the 16-year-old Tyler Watts. Has a run of 4 consecutive birdies and a really good look at a 5th.
It's not that easy.
Ryan next. And he'll mark again. He's coming off of back-to-back holes, a double, and then a bogey, 3 over his last couple of holes. Dropped him right out of contention. See some umbrellas up. Can't really tell if the rain is coming down, just misting down or where it stands.
It was mostly a mist this morning. I think we missed a couple heavier cells. I know, when you're involved in tournaments, the one thing you dread, obviously, lighting, but also I've the folks at Oakmont I know are dealing with it. They had a massive inundation, and
for his 5th consecutive birdie, Tyler Watts to stretch the lead. Long putts, short putts, does not matter. This kid is ice.
Wow. Dave, you've been doing amateur. You do the Western, is that right?
Mm-hmm.
So how long have you been doing the Western amateur?
About 5 years now.
So, yeah. So what are your thoughts on the amateur golf when you watch what these young kids are doing?
Well, giving these players the opportunity, first of all, from a streaming perspective, the amateur game is in a healthy position as far as the talent level is concerned. What's going on with PGAU, all the things that are going on in terms of opportunities for kids to be able to play. As we watch again, that birdie putt from Tyler Watts. It's going to be interesting, maybe disconcerting, a little concerning, where the amateur golfers have an opportunity to ply their trade, get better, get great competition. The limitations on some of the caps in terms of college play is something that I think is going to affect negatively the amateur game. But as long as there are amateur events like the Sunnehanna Amateur and the Western Amateur and elite events like that, I think that there's an opportunity for players who know the right thing to do to go on out and get that kind of competition. As we look at the 621-yard par 5 ninth hole, again, you mentioned this is a 3-shot hole, rarely, if ever, hitting 2, right?
Well, it's typically into the wind. It has been hitting 2. In fact, for a long time, Dan Pohl, name you would remember, Dave, hit over it into Lance Tenbrook, hit it into, and then I believe Fred Couples hit it into, and then for years no one hit to it, and then Charles Howell hit it 3 straight rounds. And Edward Laura, 2-time champion, hit driver 2-iron to the front fringe. We didn't lengthen the hole after that, and I know Jackson Harrington hit it last year, maybe once or twice. So it can be hit, but the conditions have to be right. Today, no one's going to hit it into the cross bunker, which was put in 2 years ago. It's unquestionably made a bit of a difference here. I saw several players in that yesterday, but it's a true 3-shot hole.
And tell me if this is a misprint on the hole location sheet, but 50 yards deep, that green?
It is 50 yards deep.
It's 30 paces on the hole location today, 6 from the left-hand side.
Yeah, this is the deepest green from front to back, but we have other greens I think are in excess of 40 for sure.
The classic design, short walk from green to the next tee.
That's a heck of a drive. This is a very difficult driving hole. Sunny is typically really more of a second shot hole, but this is a really demanding tee shot, and he hit it exactly where we want to hit it.
What makes it so demanding?
The fairway slopes significantly from left to right. So what you see after that bunker, while it may be probably 25 or 30 wide, it's much narrower than that. Now, the soft fairways certainly make the fairways wider because that ball could have very well trundled, kicked right and into the right rough. Well, the right rough here is just awful. And reason it's the bottom of a hill and water accumulates there. So, it's just very, very lush and very, very thick.
And now Ryan, who made his par on the last hole. Trails by 8 when we came on the air. He was the only one within a couple shots of the lead.
Five birdies in a row by somebody, it certainly makes it hard to stay close.
Yes, it does. First time ever that this event has been streamed. So golf fans like me get an opportunity to see it from home. And it's CGN doing the streaming. Proud supporter of the Sunnehanna Amateur. Along with Conemaugh Health Systems. Big in the local area in terms of health, yes?
Absolutely. Tremendous hospital. Started after the flood of 1889. Clara Barton. This was the first place that she provided emergency services, was the American Red Cross with Clara Barton in Johnstown, the flood of 1889. Yeah.
So much history in this area. It's unbelievable.
There is a lot of history here that when you grew up here, you didn't know about it. Now there's things I've learned. It's just really, 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 really remarkable, the things that would that went on here. You just at one time there were 7 miles of steel mills in Johnstown, and you can only imagine. You look at old photos, nothing grew on the hills because of the smoke and smog from the mills, but that was provided employment to an awful lot of people. And then you throw in, the ancillary industries, from the bricks needed for the blast furnace ovens and obviously coal, all these other things. It was, an industrial community, and really the birthplace of the American steel industry. Everyone talks about Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's real claim initially was glass. And then, people hear about Bethlehem and certainly other sites that had large steel operations, but Johnstown was, a lot of the Bessemer steel process for making steel started here, was invented here, all these other things. I mean, there's an incredible history that people just don't know anything about. I certainly didn't know much about as a kid.
Almost feels like a humility where, when you take a look at the accomplishments of people in the area, as we take another look at the aerial of the par 5 ninth. This has been an under the radar golf club where you can see right now it's really on a mountaintop where the views, when it's not misting or raining, are just kind of knock your socks off beautiful.
I put, club, we've welcomed guests. We just put a guest house in for our national members, which I think is going to be a, huge success. So everyone knows that what this was before it was a golf course was Cambria Farms, which grew grain for the mules that worked in the company coal mines. And if you go off the first tee, to your left is the Conemaugh Gap, which I believe is the deepest river gorge from top to bottom east of the Mississippi. So the views you had when you came here had to be, and Tillinghast was very, very keen in terms of the location of clubhouses. Mm-hmm. And Dave, something you find interesting, if you look at the original clubhouse, it was designed it looked exactly in terms of profile as what Shinnecock's clubhouse looked like.
Location and design, perfect, it sounds like.
Yep. Difficult shot here.
Again, it's a par 5. You don't want to hurt yourself on your second shot of a par 5. But if he wants to get it down the fairway, he's got to get it up pretty quickly and put a lot of heat on this. Ball first. Next to play will be the Argentine, Gabriel Palacios. A lot being said about the Oakmont rough this week, about 50 miles from here. What's the rough typically like at Sunnehanna?
Not like this, otherwise no one would play golf. It's kept at 2 or 2 inches, I believe, during the normal play. Certainly, weather, we've had an exceedingly wet spring and soon to be summer, it looks like. So it's been a not a particularly pleasant spring, that's for sure.
Helps the players so the ball does not roll out of the fairway if they hit the fairway on the fly, but hurts the players if it finds itself eventually in the rough. As now the leader taking a big club at it.
I mean, the biggest risk here, it's perfect. I'm getting used to saying that word every time he hits a golf shot.
With him, yeah. Again, this young man, Tyler Watts's resume is so impressive, became the youngest amateur winner of the Alabama State Amateur in the 107-year history of the event when he won it a couple years ago. Again, those who support this event, frankly, love the Sunnehanna Amateur, what it means to the amateur game, to the game of golf, to the community as well, include Duke LifePoint Healthcare and so many other local businesses that gather together to do the right thing this week and support these amateurs, support the club that's giving up its golf course for a week. Not just Duke Life Point Healthcare, but also First Commonwealth. What does it mean to the membership to give up in a season that's shorter than many?
It is not it is a significant commitment, and we're sensitive to the disruption it creates. And some people it's hard to explain to them the reason to do it, but I think there's I think among a lot of people there's a growing understanding of the importance of the tournament to the club, and as I said, I think there's to the community as well. We also hold a national, because of the tournament's reputation. A lot of guys want to come back. Started national four-ball last year, which sold out, and had John Peterson, who was just unfortunately did not get in the U.S. Open, who was going to play here. And decided to try to wait it out, and unfortunately didn't get in the field. He came back, was his first amateur tournament. Significant number of former term participants played in that, and then Sunnehanna Senior is been around for more than 20 years, and another great event. So the club has kind of adopted the understanding. We hold West Penn events. We are the first qualifier for the U.S. Amateurs held here last year. We hold here next year as well as this year, and University of Pittsburgh, Johnstown, St. Francis. So we're really a club of championships at this point, and I think that's been a great thing for our club in terms of its reputation, and certainly it helps the bottom line as well at the same time.
As Gabriel Palacios takes a look at his third shot here at the par 5 ninth, let's chat a little bit, take a little bit wider view of the community. Not just Johnstown, but now let's talk about this part of Pennsylvania as well, because again, just less than 20 miles from here, you find a club where my dad won the PGA Championship. They held a Ryder Cup there as well, Laurel Valley. You've got Arnold Palmer's hometown, Latrobe. Is that right? Am I saying it right?
It's not Latrobe, it's Latrobe.
Okay, Latrobe is less than 25 miles. As the crow flies, again, you got to wind your way around some of these mountains and hills if you want to drive there. But 50 miles away is Oakmont, the U.S. Open this week. Again, the most beloved golfer of the last probably century, Arnold Palmer from this area. One of the greatest amateurs in the history of the American game. Jay Sigel is also from Pennsylvania.
Nathan Smith, our Walker Cup captain, this year and next, is from Brookville.
You hear a lot about Florida. You hear a lot about Texas, California golfers as well. Pennsylvania's got a lot to be said.
Well, Phones is a former U.S. amateur champion. Eben Byers is another at the same time. And I can't believe I can't remember. I'm showing my age. He was known as the Sphinx of Shenley Park. He won the U.S. Pub Links several times in a row. I believe he was a steel worker, and for the love of Mary, I can't remember his name. But there was, Jim Simons would be a name you remember, Dave, who was a legendary player as a kid out of Butler, Pennsylvania. Jim Asario, who's from Western Pennsylvania, won the U.S. Junior. Mike Nicolette, who won at Bay Hill, who's from Mount Pleasant, if I'm not mistaken. And then you can't forget Carol Semple Thompson.
Oh yeah, legendary, out of Huntington Valley.
No, Swickley Heights.
Swickley Heights. Sorry,
it's okay, Dave.
How many USGA titles did she end up winning? I mean, 6 or 8. I mean, she had a ton. I'll tell you a story about Carol Semple Thompson, as we just saw. Gabriel's third into the par 5 ninth. I was at the U.S. Women's Amateur. She ended up losing a match and caddying for someone later on, and I watched her rake a bunker with such precision, such care. I've never seen anyone rake a bunker that way, and thought, if Carol Semple Thompson can do that, then I need to pay attention to how I'm raking bunkers in the future. Here's Tyler Watts in his third. Little pitch the lead is pretty safe, but he's got 5 consecutive birdies.
It's a good leave. He's putting back up the hill. Yeah, Carol Semple's dad Hardin was the president of the USGA, and both her father and her uncle Dick played in the Sunnehanna Invitational in the match play tournament. So they were very, very good players. But again, Carol Semple is still a beloved figure in golf, and much like Jay was known as much not just for their play, but the way they treated people. I think that
Class act she was, both
correct, absolutely total class act.
The 16-year-old Tyler Watts has some wins under his belt already, and as I mentioned, that lead is just growing. 5 consecutive birdies will do that. The lead is 6. Some nice rounds behind him.
This is exceptional round of golf. You don't want to. People get excited when people shoot low rounds of golf. I think it's just as much. It's not a statement about the nature of the golf course. It's as much about conditions I think are conducive to shooting some low scores. But the guys are good.
Well, and especially when you're young, you can feed off the players who are playing alongside you and the same group. They can spur you on if they're challenging you as well, or just seeing good golf shots, good swings, not a lot of trouble, will maybe help you towards a low score. That's not been Tyler Watts' experience today. 2 players he's playing alongside, Ryan Voice and Gabriel Palacios, each over par. Ryan's a couple over, Gabriel just 1 over par. So he hasn't had anyone to draft off of, or any good luck to, or great holes to sort of see other players achieving what he's achieving. He's doing it all on his own.
Well, I think the other thing is he's making birdies, which puts even more pressure on their games. And so, they're fighting the nerves, and they know that, to win, they're going to have to do something really special. So, by his doing by playing the quality of golf he's played, it's put even more pressure on these guys.
Got a few players out on the golf course who are 4 under for their rounds. Jacob Modletsky is through 13 holes. He's 4 under. Got a couple players through 9, started on the 10th hole, so they've through their 9th hole through the 18th. They're 4 under. That's Dane Huddleston and Penson Badgett. Both 4 under. Only one player on the golf course 5 under, and that's the leader.
Penson Badgett's committed to Tennessee, will be a teammate of Tyler Watts, and Dane Huddleston. And this kind of just goes to show how many good players are. He was at Utah Valley State. Not highly ranked if you go by Wagger. Won Washington Amateur, several college tournaments, then finished, I believe, 5th in an NCAA regional, and it's transferring to Illinois next year. So, I mean, there's no different than Neil Shipley, who no one knew about 3 years ago. Now is endorsing Waffle House, among others, and has become, I think, really one of the more recognizable names in professional golf, which is, pretty remarkable. And he can definitely play. He's a great young man. In fact, when we announced that we were going to stream this, he sent a text thinking how great this was for the tournament and wishing us the best. So thanks, CGN. I think this has been a phenomenal addition to the tournament. Having you, Dave, here has made it even better. So
been a privilege. Now Palacios. Overread the break a bit. But he leaves the stage to this man, Tyler Watts, 16 years old. Putting to turn in 29, 6 under, and stretch the lead to 7. Be 9 years before he can rent a car. 25 now, right? It's
I,
amazing how young and how talented he is.
Again, he has a track record of success. So he may not be a household name to people out there, but if you follow golf, he's a special talent.
For 6 consecutive birdies.
Yeah, tough buddy over.
Too high. Still, he'll turn in a disappointing 30 with a 6-shot lead.
At this point, I think I'm at about 30 at 6 holes anymore. That's a phenomenal round of golf. Hope he keeps it going.
Where on this second 9 are the spots which may jump up and grab him? What does he have to look out for?
The backside is very gettable. I mean, unless the 14th hole, which is 200 and 215 yards, tees back, whole location is back. Good 2-putt there. The 14th, potentially the 15th, if he would do something with a drive or second shot there. Trent Phillips, the year he won here, played iron off the 15th hole and took trouble out of play, which was very, very smart play. And then the 16th hole, but there's a few places out there, but he'd have to hit some extraordinarily bad shots, which he doesn't show any inclination of doing at all.
And like Wingfoot, the 10th hole on the Wingfoot West course, A.W. Tillinghast design, a par 3. Skinny green, narrow green at the Wingfoot West course. But here we've got what looks to be somewhat receptive, 175 yards.
The Pulpit.
The Pulpit
is a phenomenal par 3. For those that haven't played it, I think it's probably one of Tillinghast, if not his best par 3, is one of his best. But this is, elevated green. The pin is, I think, 4 center, if I'm not mistaken, with the tee is up. So it's put in a location that someone can, maybe make one, provide the viewers some excitement and the players as well. I guess you reward yourself after 9 holes with a hot dog
if you shoot 30
and a drink.
But I have to ask you, John, from a club perspective, it's a couple things that interested me is when the tournament was reconstituted into a 72-hole amateur event. There were a number of other priorities that were given by the club to have an event where as many club members would show up as possible to really welcome these young players, to welcome in the players as wives. I mean, the amateur golf in the 1950s was an older game. 16-year-olds not going to have a wife, but if you take a look at the leaderboard, that's where we are right now.
That is absolutely correct. Well, professional golf wasn't glamorous, and as you know, Walter Hagen, one time professionals weren't allowed in the front door, and Walter Hagen says, he said, I'm going through the front door. They used to go through the kitchen. Hagen's kind of an interesting guy, and he was the first person to really brand his name, the Hague, and was the first $1 million athlete because of that. That and driving, I forget what kind of car, but he always had the pomade in his hair and the scarf. So, but professional golf, most people know that the claret jug is very tiny, but the trophy that they provide the amateur champion of the British amateur is massive because professionals were looked down upon.
Hagen famously changed his shoes in a rented Rolls Royce at Deal in the Open Championship when he was told he couldn't come into the clubhouse. He decided, okay, well, I'm going to have a car better than any member and do it right in front of everybody, show them exactly the folly of their ways. He was one of the players or people actually at the time. There were 36, I believe, at the original meeting of the PGA of America where they signed the charter, started that association, and a couple of them have ties here to Sunnehanna, yes?
Well, the Hotel Martinique was where it was done. John Wanamaker was Wanamaker's apartment store in Philadelphia, donated the trophy. A.W. Tillinghast was at that meeting, and Robert White, who did construction, was a course designer himself, and did construction work for Tillinghast. In fact, was the first head president of the PGA of America.
Again, so many supporters of this tournament make it possible, including FootJoy. Wearing a pair right now. Not sure I'm supposed to endorse them, but I wouldn't wear anybody else. FootJoy are not the only of the sponsors supporting and showing their affinity and commitment to the amateur game and to Sunnehanna Country Club and to the Sunnehanna Amateur. It also includes Grain Healthcare as well.
Well, FootJoy, Titus FootJoy has been a supporter of the Elite Amateur Series since its inception, which has been greatly appreciated. So we thank the folks there.
I'm going to go back 60 years. I knew the name Titleist before I had any idea what it meant. And FootJoy, same thing. Dad wore both, or used both products when he was playing well, not playing well. They were there to support right from the start. Both of his Ryder Cup teams, the one he played, the one he captained, outfitted by both FootJoy and Titleist.
But did he use a Thompson Ginty?
He used whatever would best service him. I remember he was actually playing on the Wilson staff, but he had a Hogan forward that was just absolutely fantastic for him. So if you look at the sole plate, it says Hogan, but he painted.
Was your dad a drawer of the golf ball?
He could move it either way. He was
wow,
pretty pure that way. Great swing, not very long.
Different game. That's the one thing is you just don't see the shot. Well, that's what made Wood so great. He was a shot maker.
He was.
And the ball. Certainly the ball has changed a lot of that.
Just rewatched the 1965 PGA Championship, the final 4 holes with my brother, who he didn't get a chance to watch it live because he was being born that very day. But we watched Jack hold off Nicklaus and Casper together. It was fun. And I have to tell you, those old school players, they might not have the size and some of the athleticism, but the toughness, the ability to get the ball in the hole when you need to. Not necessarily my dad, but Jack, Arnold, they would have found it with Lee Trevino. They would have found a way to win some tournaments on the PGA Tour nowadays. And that's what these events foster, really. You find out how to play the game, not just how to swing the club, how to compete.
Yep. He didn't get it deep enough in the green. It's in the front. Yep.
Again, Tyler Watts shot 30 on the front. He's got 3 par 3s on this second 9, a couple of par 5s, 4 par 4s. Gabriel Palacios. 1 over on his round. He bogeyed the first, birdied number 4, but dropped a shot at 7. Missed a short putt there. Not often I get to sit next to the guy who put the hole locations where they are. And those two gentlemen, maybe when pin seeking didn't get quite deep enough, so it rolled off that front. Why would you put it there specifically on a day like today? You mentioned
if they can get it deep enough, you can make 1. But if they do what they just did, the ball's going to come off the green and go in the rough. And they did exactly kind of what I wouldn't say.
But you were a little worried about what kind of rain we might get, and that's a good spot to have the rain drain off.
A little bit, but I just wanted to. This is a little tiny wedge for them. So, yep.
Well, when you saw the players in front of you, not able to get it deep, you think you want to take a little bit more and get it back there.
That's right.
Is that drop off severe enough that if you're beyond the
No,
hole?
it shouldn't be, but the rough is really, really thick there, as I said, because the water does come off there. So, you know, and there's a good chance the rough is going to work back over the ball rather than they're going to be pitching into the grain, if you will, the rough. So
we've got this hole, a couple of par fives, a couple more par threes. You got that short par four finishing hole as well. So a lot can be accomplished in the next 8 holes, 9 holes here in the final round of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur, supported by Highmark, one of the corporate sponsors who's dedicated resources and support to this championship. Also, the McEnany Brothers Incorporated. A lot of beautiful parts of this golf course, not just the views from here at the clubhouse. We're the second floor of the clubhouse right now. And again, breathtaking when there's no clouds and mist. You can see quite a distance of rolling hills and mountaintops.
Well, one of the great things, one of the things that when you grow up here, you take for granted, and you point this out, is other than one hole, really, you see no homes. We're surrounded by a park, so it'll never be developed. So in the evening, this is one of the most really incredibly peaceful places you can possibly imagine. And we a bear, deer, obviously, and you know, fox. I mean, we just have all kinds of, you know, bird and animal life that you know. Again, it's really kind of unique. You don't think about that, but then when the other people realize that when they're playing here, again, it's a pretty tough golf shot right here.
So again, you played competitive golf throughout your college career, LSU a bit. You've got the collar ball up against the collar, and the rough the way it is. A lot of people like to belly the wedge, meaning taking a sand wedge with the weight at the bottom of the sand wedge and allowing that to come through the grass, but hitting the ball about halfway up, right at the median there.
Well, the thing that makes it hard here is the ball's going to go up the club face a little because it's going uphill. Mm-hmm. So there's a good chance this is going to come up short because you're going to catch it higher on the club face.
Looks like he's going to chip it here a little.
Yeah.
So a little bit of difficulty for the man at the top of the leaderboard. He's not, at this point, I'm sure, worried about his lead. Haven't gotten to 18 under par, but 5 consecutive birdies ended at the last hole. He made par, missed his birdie putt, and now he has to get up and down to keep that bogey-free streak going in this round. Forward. A lot of weight on that left side, yep, which is where it's supposed to be.
Yep. Good shot. Very good shot.
It looked like he wasn't satisfied with it the way he walked out. A little disappointment, but that might just be misreading its body language because that was a nice shot.
Well, when you've made, 5 birdies in a row, I guess if you make par, that's disappointing. It's all relative, Dave. Exactly. Next time you make 5 birdies in a row and you make par, I'm sure you'll be disappointed too.
Not going to happen.
Tee it forward, Dave.
There you go. Now, Ryan, much easier shot. Amateurs who don't practice as much or play as much will typically try and use the putter from off the fringe like this, but these players practice short games so much that Ryan has a good sense here. Takes the flagstick out, thinking he's going to make it, but been that kind of a tough stretch for Ryan. He's 3 over in his last 4 holes. Though he made par the last couple. Now here's Gabriel. Having seen the first 2 come up as short as they did, I expect him to give this one a good run. My expectation was not met with that putt right there.
Well, as I say, it's uphill and it's going to slide a lot hard right to left. But I think with a little bit of moisture on the greens, these guys, while it's used to putting downhill, or which obviously makes a green. We have a lot of slope in our greens, so consequently, while they slope a lot, if you're putting uphill, they're a lot slower than people would anticipate too.
Whether it's amateur or professional, you do not want to be in a position where you don't lose your turn, but that's exactly what happened there with Gabriel. Still his shot.
Yeah, it's hard to believe the hole can't be playing much more than 95 yards, but it just goes to show, depending on hole location and other things, it can. You got three guys grinding for par right now.
Well, and Wyatt just moved his marker, his ball mark, in order to allow for Gabriel's stance. Ryan next to play for his par. Ryan's only made one birdie today back at the fourth. All three players in this group made birdie on that one, made three. It was the first birdie of the day for Tyler, first birdie of the day for Ryan. Over the next three holes, Ryan would drop three shots and Tyler would birdie the next three, including that fourth, for four in a row. Then add another at the eighth. Tyler Watts for par to stay at 5 under for his round and maintain the 6-shot lead. On to 11. By far the shortest par 5 on this golf course as we take a look at the aerial. 519 yards, bends from left to right. We get up to the green, hole located way on the right-hand side, about halfway into the green. When you take a look at this hole, John, what are the features that are most
this hole this hole was originally a par 4, as a one handicap hole. And Charlie, when we were doing some research, the question was, why was this converted to a par 5? And Charlie Kunkel, who started this, who was an outstanding player, Duke basketball letterman and quarterfinals U.S. amateur participant in the Masters. I had a friend ask him, why did they convert it? And he said it was a hard hole. It was the one handicap hole at the time. And for a while, the course was par 72, and converted the 14th to a par 3. So we're kind of there's some solutions here, but they aren't a priority for some at the present time. But I think maybe converting them back would make for a better golf course, and late in the round, giving someone like Tyler, heard him make an additional easy birdie on a short par 4. But again, I think the greens are so good. All in all, if you've got an easy hole, that's just the way it is.
Tyler Watts.
He likes it.
Par the only par 5 on the front side, which was number 9, 621 yards.
The other thing, the last 100 yards into this green are downhill. So,
next up, Gabriel Palacios. Just begging for it to get right a little bit.
Perfect.
And now Ryan Boyce.
Well, I mean, you don't want to say that the tournament's over, but there's a lot more here at stake than just who wins. But this is the beginning of some of the Elite Amateur Series, but also points for Wagger and other things that are important. So these guys are going to keep playing hard in here.
WAGR, the World Amateur Golf Rankings acronym. More dissatisfied body language, but looks like a decent position as we pause for a moment and hear from some who are supporting this tournament.
Life would be easier if we were upfront about our mental health. But it doesn't work like that. To help our members feel more confident, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield has added over 6,000 mental health professionals, so everyone can get the right care right away. Because whatever you have on the inside deserves to be seen. Because life, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
No matter the season, we're always in full swing. When it comes to cutting-edge orthopedics and sports medicine, Conema Health System is your winning team. This all-star team is scrubbed and ready all year round. Whether you're sidelined by a sports injury, undergoing surgery, or dealing with a traumatic injury, Conema's team will get you back in the game. From life-saving trauma care to advanced orthopedic procedures, we're here to get you back to your best, no matter what life throws your way. Our MVPs, our surgeons, performing at their peak when every second counts. And our playmakers, those who make the valuable assists, our practitioners, our nurses, and our staff, ensuring you get the best care and stay on track toward your optimal recovery. When your health and mobility are on the line, we provide championship-level care because your health is our victory.
Welcome back to the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. I'm David Morrow alongside tournament co-chairman John Yerger. The final grouping is on the 11th hole right now, the par 5, 519 yards. Tyler Watts made 5 consecutive birdies towards the end of his opening 9. His lead was 1 to start the day. It is 6 right now, John. And it's been some special golf we've been treated to see.
This drive is where he just put it is absolutely perfect. I've seen a lot of rounds of golf here. This is exceptional. I don't think I'm doing even. You can't do what he's doing justice to birdie. To birdie 5, 6, and 7. I think John Cook, the 8th hole used to be a lot more difficult. John Cook, I believe, birdied it 4 rounds in a row. 4 rounds in a row one year when he won, which was just absolutely. Again, this is next level.
Well, he had a heck of an amateur career as well. Won the U.S. Amateur, went to the final the next year, lost to Marco Mira.
We talked about that. He won the Northeast, obviously won Sunnehanna. But John Cook is a junior golfer, and time diminishes the understanding of what I believe he won California Junior, California Amateur, and World Junior all in 1 year.
So that would mean he wins up and down the coast. He wins at Pebble. He wins at Torrey as well. Those events were played at some pretty special
That's
courses.
Right. And the California Amateur one time was played at Pebble Beach every year. Yeah.
Tyler Watts, bogey-free. I would say mistake-free, but...
Well, I think look where his drive is here relative to his playing partners.
Yeah.
He took a pretty aggressive line. Because of the nature of the way the fairway runs, it's a really kind of a strange angle off the tee. And, he put it, it's perfect. You know, you could miss it far right here, and he could take a big number, but I mean, he's totally in control of his game.
Not sure you can say the same about Ryan Voice, who's struggled a bit. Seems to have righted the ship, parred his last 3 holes. This is his second at 11.
That is not where you want to be. I think he's pressing a little bit. I mean, he's trying to catch somebody who is fully in control of his game, and he's just trying to force some things. And again, between being in contention and then having someone play the level of golf that Ryan is, it makes it that much more difficult.
Gabriel Palacios, his second year. I don't have the scoring average of this hole, but how far under par would you
the first round, there was, in a field of 101, there was 10 eagles. And then the second round, I didn't see yesterday's statistics, there was 11. So 1 in 10 players are making is an eagle. And I believe the second hole played more difficult versus par, as well as almost the 12th hole the first day. So there you go.
So the general average score
is well under under par. Correct.
And now Tyler, quick player. That didn't look too committed.
Hit a little fat, it looks like.
Well, it's the second shot at a par 5. Yes, you'd like to, especially a 500.
Well, I think par 5. Just looking at that fairway has been expanded right a little bit, so he may have had a little bit of the ball may have been down a little bit and a little bit mud. It may have been it's not really mature, real strong right there. So he could have had a ball sitting down a little bit too. So you'll be at Skokie this year with the Western Amateur. Great golf course.
Great golf course.
Great golf course.
The Western's the 3rd oldest amateur championship in the game, either side of the pond.
I'm a big fan. I mean, Steve Prioletti and the staff of the Western. I mean, what the Western Golf Association does is well beyond golf. And if people don't know about the Evans Caddy Scholarship Program, they really should. It's a remarkable organization, and what they do in terms of providing educational opportunities to a lot of kids is it's a really remarkable success story. And Chick Evans played in the Sunnehanna Amateur, which he did. He was invited. He became kind of like if you will, an ambassador for golf. But yeah, he definitely played here.
Great ambassador of the game, great lover of the game.
Yeah.
As are McElwain Charters and Tours, who support this event. Western Golf Association supports that Western Amateur. Sunnehanna Country Club is who puts on this tournament, stages this wonderful amateur competition, but so many local and national brands understand the importance of the Sunnehanna Amateur, and they join hands with Sunnehanna Country Club. Not just McElwain, but also Poncione Financial Group as well. Well, Tyler, a little short-sighted over there. It's a interesting.
When you're playing well, it's hard to back off a hole. And, again, there's no way he doesn't know if it can be in lead, but more importantly, when you have it 5 under at a turn and you've got a relatively short par 3, and then you're thinking, if I keep this going, I've got a chance to do something special.
So Ryan has played out. Decent shot.
Green works really hard away from right there. So there's.
You don't want to get too cute here with your third shot.
No reason to.
And a 6-shot lead.
Oh, that's
another shot. Well done.
That's very good. I mean, that's a tap in. Great golf shot. Certainly, the greens being soft, helped a little bit there. But again, he really shows no signs of nerves at all. Really, great.
So it sounds like you think he'll get right back on the birdie train right here.
I will say the 12th hole is a very difficult hole location to get to. It's probably, I don't know. I know it's cut 4 steps from the left side. If you're in the fairway, you don't have a particularly good angle. And in fact, you might be better off hitting if you really want to. I don't believe he will do this. I would hope he wouldn't. But the only way the best way to get at the whole location is to be in the right rough. But a good shot there will probably be 15, 20 feet hole high and right, putting right up at it.
Now, Gabriel Palacios. Been 6 holes without a birdie for this man.
Ooh, nice putt. Thought he had it.
Well done with that putt.
Your thoughts on the U.S. Open, Dave?
Oakmont's showing her teeth and some interesting scores there. The 2 players that I said I thought prior to, not really going out on a limb, the results they've had recently in majors, Bryson DeChambeau, Scotty Scheffler, showing the difficulty of trying to play a national championship venue. To me, Scotty's game, though, is built for a U.S. Open. I mean, it's as efficient as it is. Great ball striking.
You have to drive it well at Oakmont. It'll be interesting to see what the USG does in terms of setup, in terms of length. With all the water they've had there, the course is going to play very, very long.
Very. Ryan for his birdie, unable to drop. All 3 players birdied the 4th. It was still a tightly contested match at that point, or tournament. Just a few shots separating them all, and Tyler Watts took it from there. Birdied the next 4 holes. Ryan Vuis lost 3 shots in the next 3 holes. Palacios dropped a shot in that stretch, and hence in this group, it's that man, young Tyler Watts, at 18 under, 8 shots clear of his 2 fellow competitors. Ahead of him out on the golf course, there is a player playing well right now, Cole Rook, 3 under. He's now gotten to 14 under. So the lead is 4. Cole made eagle here at this 11th as Tyler Watts goes to the par 4 12th. It's a 427 yard hole. Bends a little from left to right. Dog leg right.
Yeah.
Right side's that an aiming bunker there? Try and knock it over that one.
Yeah, I think keep it a little left here. I mean, typically prevailing wind is downwind. I mean, this is a quintessential Tillinghast green that slopes from back to front. You know, one thing that makes our greens a little bit unique is I think we have as many as 11 fall away greens where the ball works away from the player, which actually Tillinghast road that, you know, he didn't particularly care for. I think I said earlier this was big drive here, Styler.
Green is almost 40 paces deep. Hole location is 33 paces deep, 4 from the left. Now Tyler Watts on the tee. Lingered a little longer than usual for that look at the landing area. Gabriel Palacios. Ryan Vuis next.
Can't walk it out there any better than that.
Sunnehanna Amateur Week used to focus on entertainment a little more than usual as well. Some great bands would come through here back in the day.
My parents recall it well. You know, you did. Members would be exhausted by the week, but they dare not come up. But yeah, Duke Ellington, Lionel Hampton, Count Basie, Doc Severinsen, Gretchen Weiler, Tommy Dorsey Band. I mean, I go on and on. I don't. You know, they would have them. Don Cherry, who was the first champion of the Sunnehanna Amateur, had a million-selling album, million-selling record. Band of Golden was legendary in Las Vegas, and I forget the whole circumstance how he got paid.
He definitely was a legend. He would play golf during the day, and nighttime he'd go out and be a cabaret singer, make money both places as well. This event, again, is one of the elite events and has been for close to 100 years in formats starting as match play, now as stroke play. The Sunnehanna Amateur supports the game of golf like very few others. This club-sponsored, club-conducted, club-staged tournament. We were mentioning the Western Amateur and what a great job they do. Well, that's a national organization, the Western Golf Association is. And while the Sunnehanna Amateur, Sunnehanna Country Club, stages this event, there are national entities that support as well, including Titleist, who's a proud supporter of the Sunnehanna Amateur. Western Golf has a staff that's all year long working towards making that amateur championship what it can be and raising money for, as you mentioned, the Evans Scholars, that Evans Scholarship Program, which thousands and thousands of young people have not just gone to college and universities based on the scholarships they've been given, but also lived in some of the houses.
That's right.
That a number of campuses throughout the Midwest, Northwestern included, have houses for Evans Scholars.
Yeah, I think they've expanded beyond the Big Ten footprint in Notre Dame. I mean, I think the Mid-America Conference schools, but they've definitely expanded. I mean, certainly they're now at Penn State. I believe they bought a building there now for housing. Again, I haven't gone to numerous Western amateurs. I just have when you do this, but to see what they do, I've always called it the Western Amateur, somewhat the baton death march of golf, because the format is just To win that is a testament not just to good golf, but to physical.
4 rounds of stroke play.
Well,
Qualified for match play.
it's 18, 18, 36, and then you go to match play, and then it's demanding championship to win.
It really is.
And they get great champions. Not to say that other tournaments don't, but if you look at their list of champions, just to make the Sweet 16 is an achievement. And again, I really admire the organization for all it does for golf and what they've tried to do with the Elite Aim. The Elite Amateur Series would not have gotten off the start and probably wouldn't exist without the vision and the support of the Western Golf Association, which is, I can't emphasize enough, truly, truly appreciated. In fact, you're here because they said you should give Dave Moore a call.
I appreciate that.
You can cuss them out later, Dave.
So you pre-lighted that whole crowd. Loves the game of golf. Just wants to see it publicized, promoted in the proper way. Certainly, Sunnehanna Country Club is doing so, as Tyler Watts coming off another birdie. So
he's a little far back here. 6
of his last 8 holes. You mentioned pretty far back.
I wonder, did he hit driver here? 3-wood, yeah. That's a really smart shot. Watching it. That's, wow. That was right at it. That's a heck of a shot. It's going to be putting uphill, break hard, a little bit, break left to right, but he hit it right at it. That's a great golf shot. Really good.
Birdie putt going up the hill.
You
Opportunity to get to 7 under on his round and 20 for the tournament. Now Ryan again stuck in neutral. 4 consecutive pars after a tough stretch, 3 over through 2 holes. Nice shot there.
Really good shot. Well, I thought this was a difficult hole position. Obviously, I was wrong.
Final grouping almost 2/3 of the way through their final round here at the Sunnehanna Amateur. And what started as a tight contest with Tyler Watts in this group, Tyler Watts at 13 under, Ryan Voice at 12 under, Gabriel Palacios at 11 under. Ryan's a couple over on his round, only 1 birdie today. This man, Gabriel, is even on his round, a birdie and a bogey. 2 and 2. But it's Tyler Watts who's bogey free. 5 consecutive birdies on the front 9. Coming off a birdie at the par 5 11th. Has a birdie putt again here at number 12. His lead has been trimmed, a player up ahead of him on this golf course. Made an eagle at number 11, just parred number 12. That's Cole Ruick, and he is 5 back.
Again, I think, Cole's play is indicative of how many good players. I mean, most people know about Cole Ruick, really good player at Boise State. Gabriel Palacios, again, is a Utah, but from South America. Most people wouldn't know about this. Just goes to the depth of how many good players are out there that people do not know anything about. And I think it's a testament what summer amateur golf is about. There's a lot of guys that just need an opportunity, but there's maybe smaller schools and don't get the accolades or attention that guys at the larger programs get. But tournaments like this provide an opportunity. And, last year, Anthony Delisante won the Northeast Amateur Plays at Valparaiso as a prime example of that.
And how about the lifelong amateur, the lure, the siren song of the tours? Where's the Jay Seagulls of the world? Where's
I think the one thing that may be interesting, and you got John Peterson, who's now reinstated, and I can say this is having watched him, and he will tell you he's a better player now than he was in tour. Here's a guy finished 4th in the U.S. Open. I think in Michael Weaver, who was runner up in the U.S. Amateur, played at Cal with Michael Sim, Max Homa, Brendan Hagee. He sent me a message last year asking if he'd come back and play. I think you may see that the allure of the tour is great, but there's less opportunities now on the PGA Tour, And it's not the glamorous lifestyle that some people may think it out to be. And I think that you may see a resurgence in mid-amateur golf. There is something called the cocktail circuit, so there's some, great golf courses they get to play. But it would be great if we saw a few more mid-ams. But between the cost of summer amateur golf, but family responsibilities,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the guys are great mid-ams. They own their own business. Billy Joe Patton was in the lumber business, if I'm not mistaken. And when we end up here, some people from Johnstown bought lumber from him. I mean, Dean Beeman was an insurance agent
Mm-hmm.
before he turned professional. And here was a guy that won the U.S. Amateur and just about everything under the sun. So, is that going to take place? I think you're going to see more mid-ams. I think there was definitely an interest, and you're going to see more. I mean, Christian Brand, who played here as a reinstated former professional from West Virginia. So I do think, there's definitely. I think you're seeing a few more guys come forward, which I think would be great for the tournament. I mean, those Ed Tutwiler, I remember Tut. There was just some of these guys they were real characters, but they were just really fun people. And again, they had relationships that went on for years and years here. That
Bobby Hudson, the 2010 champion.
That's correct. Yeah, came back and played this year.
Now Palacios for his birdie.
So I'm somewhat hopeful that you may see. I think there's a change going on. Stuart Hagestad has obviously been the dominant mid-am in the country for some time. Evan Beck, who played at Wake Forest and played here before, was played in the U.S. Open, won the mid-am last year. But I think that that there's an appeal to that. Back in 2011, Jim Holtgreave made a big push to get 2 mid-ams put on the Walker Cup team, and now that's been reduced to 1. But I think that that's a motivating factor for some of these guys as well. So, I know Nathan is trying to do what he can to develop a team, and a win here by Tyler Watts. You got Miles Russell is an outstanding young player. So I think you may very see the Walker Cup team get somewhat younger, and you may have people you may see a few more juniors or 1 or 2 juniors, whereas before you may have seen none. You may see maybe 1 or 2 mid-ams and then a few college players in between. It's going to be interesting to see again how this changes.
Up fairly early.
Yeah.
I think he knew he pushed it through the break.
Tough putt. I knew there's a lot of slope there from left. This green slopes significantly from left to right.
Is really a testimony to the community aspect of this tournament, that tour players, major champions, still remember their host family, still remember coming here and playing, but staying in touch for quite some time.
With Colin, we used to have a caddy requirement here, and we were struggling to find caddies. So I called folks that lived about a block and a half away, and their son was Andrea Mark Rutledge, caddy in the Sunnehanna Amateur, and their daughter Andrea, a caddy for Colin, and they have a great picture of her, and she's going to graduate from Western. But they still, they still send him messages, and he responds to them, which I think says a lot about Colin, and I can't emphasize enough how much, his comments, meant to, us here, obviously, but I think it also, he talked about pure golf, and I think that that's the other thing, that in the rush to become professional, are some of these kids going to miss out on opportunities and memories of a lifetime that they may look back and say, I wish I'd slowed the process down and enjoyed the moments of being young a little bit longer. But
hopefully that 16-year-old Tyler Watts is able to do that as well, as we take a quick look from the air at the 13th hole, 416-yard par 4. Tell us about this one. Pretty straight away, it seems.
Really straight away. I mean, there's nothing particularly complicated about the hole. The green is massive. Should be, I believe it's tucked in the left side, left and back. Again, if the greens were firm, it would be a very difficult hole location. But they're not going to have much more than I mean, I hate to say most holes, they have nothing much more than a wedge in. So if there's a well placed drive here, there shouldn't be any. You know, the biggest mistake you can make here, if he hit 3 wood on 12, he may hit 3 wood here, but you know, it's not a particularly demanding driving hole. Um, the green is difficult, but with soft conditions, that is diminished significantly.
Also, not as many trees on the golf course as one might expect up in the Allegheny Mountains.
Well, again, this was a farm, so there I can see. Plus, yes, get red play here.
Hole location here, 22 on, a little bit past the middle, 4 from the left.
Yeah.
When you set the hole locations for an amateur event, one of this quality, do you try and make 666 right, left, middle?
Absolutely, and I try, especially with this course, the fall lends itself to a firm and fast condition. Front hole locations. One thing these kids don't like to do is play ball shorts of greens and have it trundle up. So they really like to hit everything hard. Well, the more you spin the ball, the more it makes the greens actually smaller. So you know, hitting shots 80% or 70% and taking spin off and flighting it down actually makes the course more accessible.
Kind of wondering why Tyler's hitting third.
I was thinking the same thing.
Tyler Watts, the leader.
Nice. Perfect.
We have a 5-shot lead, 6 holes remaining. Fairways, greens, very good things.
Yeah, the only thing I think is they may have been out of position in terms of time, and I don't know. There was at one time, it wouldn't come into play now. There was a massive big bunker that was on the left-hand side that extended for about 45 yards here. This course had huge, when it was, some of the original bunkering was not put in, but the bunkering that was put in was massive. But we have huge greens. So in terms of scale, as you know, Dave, you had large bunkering on the golf course. So that was
large bunkering, large greens, large maintenance budget as well.
That is an issue.
So I guess the word we hear from the golf course is that final grouping playing ready golf. I think they're out of position, maybe, or
yeah, I think that maybe they're a little out of position. So that's what the assumption I made.
As they try and speed back into position, maybe they can hop into a BMW from BMW Laurel and get them up to the landing area. BMW Laurel, again, one of the sponsors and protectors of this event, really, supporters, not just of this event, but also of the amateur game, as well as CWA corporate. Without the streaming nature of this event, few people get to really understand, again, how this community comes together from a corporate perspective, from a volunteer perspective. support from many different areas.
Yeah, I think unfortunately the weather's impact this. One thing the players comment on is the number of people that usually come out and watch the tournament. I think, it would probably help if we didn't start at 7:30 in the morning, but we did that to adapt to potential weather issues later here in the afternoon, and we got too many people traveling from too long a distance, not to give the players a 72-hole championship. So I think that impacts us a little bit as well today. But I don't know how many lunches. I mean, Stephanie Roth, who's general manager, and the staff have put out for our corporate tent over the last couple of days. Done an incredible job. John Clinchok in the pro shop, Chris Grinnell, and their staff. I mean, again, it's there's a lot of people all pushing in the same direction, which is unusual. And I think there's no question there's a growing awareness of the tournament's value to the community and what it brings here. So I think, which is taking a little while, but it's all a positive. And I think doing this is certainly is a testament to everybody's efforts and an understanding that this is a way to project our community in a way that most people may not be familiar.
It's pretty interesting, though, how an amateur golf tournament, I think maybe with a name like Sunnehanna, it sounds cool, but the importance of this event is known internationally. Johnstown Sunnehanna Country Club is known internationally because of the close to 100 years that you've been running this event.
People calling you from Morocco wanting to play here.
Mm-hmm. We're looking at an Argentine golfer right here.
Yeah. So, again, it is, how many times do people from Morocco want to come to Johnstown, Pennsylvania? So,
but when they get here, they want to come back.
They have glowing reviews.
Gabriel Palacios birdied the 11th. Currently in 5th place. Only a couple par fours remaining on the golf course after this one.
Yeah. Now here's the situation. Ball works away from you. You actually want to be deep at this hole position where he's going to be putting. He's going to be downhill.
Now Tyler Watt, the leader by 5.
Perfect. Really good golf shot. Well thought out.
Right where he needs to be. Gets an assist with his divot from Ryan Voice.
Nice pelt.
We looked at the weather map a moment ago, about 10 minutes ago or so. It looks like much of the moisture in the area is past us.
Let's not talk about that, David.
Talk about that in about.
It's like he hasn't missed a free throw in the last 6 games. Yeah.
The announcer curse is in full effect right now.
It's on you if that happens,
right
Dave.
on
Not on me. I'll blame you quickly on that one. I'll throw you under the bus.
No problem. Nice tempo from Ryan.
Golf shot.
Very solid right there.
Really good. Well thought out.
Been 8 holes since Ryan's had a birdie.
He's got a good shot here. I think we talked before the tournament about this being the youngest field in the tournament's history, and some people may think that same means we don't have good players here. I think the fact that right now our leaders are gonna has another year. He's going senior year in high school, and John David Galbraith is going to be going to Georgia. I think it's a testament to how the difference between junior golfers, college golfers, and professional golfers is infinitesimal, as much about experience as anything. And this tournament is going to be, I think, in my opinion, really a great catalyst for these guys to say, I can not only can I play, I can beat these guys. So it's going to be a big shot of confidence for those two, and for the 11 of this 63 players that made the cut. 11 of them are either going into college next year or junior golfers. Ronan Banerjee, who made the cut, he's going to be a junior in high school. So.
Well, the last couple of years, PGA Tour leaderboards, major championship leaderboards have shown that those, even junior golfers, top amateur golfers, again, that difference between the talent level of PGA Tour players, professional golfers, and amateurs.
Michael Thorbjornsen, at Hartford certainly is a name that I think people should know about. And former U.S. junior champion, and Nick Dunlap, another former U.S. junior champion. So there's again, the days of these kids being intimidated, we're long beyond that. They're well coached, they're experienced, and they've had success. And Tyler certainly had that.
And when they get out on tour, if they do, or run into tour players, they'll be known for having won the Sunnehanna Amateur.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, Ricky Fowler, and I was thinking about this. Ricky Fowler won, I believe, is after he just graduated from high school and was going to go to Oklahoma State, was already wearing the flat brim hat and the orange and the white. And he is the youngest champion in the tournament's history. And if Tyler Watts wins today, he will be the youngest champion in the tournament's history. And then the other thing that Tyler maybe will do if he continues at this pace, he will break the 72-hole scoring record. That's how I believe it. For all the useless information I know, Dave, I believe it's 14 under, and that's Alan Doyle. Is he 14 or 13? Yeah. We've thought it would be broken the last several years. And the last day, that guys have kind of sputtered out, and with the course is set up much more difficult today. But again, the greens are soft, which doesn't detract from what Tyler's done thus far today. It's really a special round of golf.
He's made some long putts already today. What will this one do?
It should break from right to left. He's going to be going back uphill. It'll move pretty hard left at the hole, but it's probably about 6 inches out. As I said, the speed of the greens is the greens are rolling still very, very well. They're not obsessive. They're still very smooth, and still they've got some pace to them.
Gave it more than 6 inches. And stayed out on the left or the right.
Yeah, got a little outside that. Solid par. You'll take when you have a 5-stroke lead.
5 at this point.
You'll take a pressure-free par any day of the week.
5 with 5 holes remaining. Okay, Ryan, come on.
Good guy.
Good guy, heck of a player. Made birdie at 4. Has had a double, a bogey, and a bunch of pars since then.
Typically par is not a bad score out here, but today with what Tyler Watts has done, you're losing ground. Nice putt.
There we go.
Solid 3. There's a prime example. Ryan last year when he contacted us about playing, he wasn't particularly highly ranked, and once in a while we're about development and giving kids an opportunity, and what they do with that opportunity when they get here is up to them. But he played well here last year, and he took the last summer's development and had a really, really great second year at Illinois, and now he's, like I said, he's top 100 player, if not higher than that. So. And with his play here this week, he's going to move even higher in the rankings. So when everyone focuses on certain players at certain points, I mean, Luke Clanton played here 2 years in a row as its high school senior, actually his freshman year. There's as I said, the whole process is sped up. And, again, once they start playing a few professional events, they're going to keep trying to do that. They're incentivized to do that. So, um, you know, and you have to understand that as a part of the process at this point. This can be there's a lot of large green. There's a bit of a spine that works on a bit of an angle. The front part of the green will work back toward the player, but then it'll also, if you take the bunker on about a 25-degree angle to the left, you're going to see a spine. The ball will work its way back to the right. What you don't want to do here is obviously miss right. But the green is big, and the whole location, if I'm not mistaken, isn't it back right?
The location of this hole is back right. 6 paces off the right-hand side. Where would this rank in terms of difficulty among par threes?
The par threes, this will be, probably around the 2 or 3 handicap hole. Yesterday, though, I didn't see it. We moved the whole. We don't want to give the players the same golf course, if you will, every day. So we moved the whole location. We'll be right behind that bunker. The third round, we moved the tee up, and a year ago, it played harder that day with that whole location and a shorter shot than it did when the tee was back for 3 days. May have been downwind too. That's the other side of it. A little firmer, so you can't get it close.
Well, Ryan hitting first for the first time all day.
Unless you're waiting in front of the group in front of them.
By virtue of that birdie putt. And number 13. Just another example of what you need to do to stage an event like this. That van behind Ryan right there for the evacuation always has to be in position.
That's right. He had an issue yesterday. We got everyone off the golf course. I think it's 6 minutes. Safety is, a paramount concern.
Especially this time of year, you get the pop-up thunderstorms, lightning.
One year there used to be a lot of trees in this golf course. A pine tree was hit by lightning behind the second green, and my brother remembers the next day they went and cut it down, and it was still on fire on the inside. So, yeah, safety is important.
Tyler Watts next to play. And Gabriel Palacios. Does not love it.
Nice on this playing surface. Little story in the 14th hole. I covered this article when it was a par 4 that a lot of members' balls apparently went into the woods here. So he had some workers go out overnight and put up a fence to keep balls from going into the woods.
Didn't work.
Well, the fence isn't there anymore, so I'm assuming it didn't.
There's some pure golf right there. Two players, one of them leading this tournament, walking side by side to the green at a difficult par 3. All of this tournament, amateur golf in general, made possible by communities, clubs, golf lovers, corporate partners, all coming together, including Dollar Bank, who supports this Sunnehanna Amateur, along with FNB Wealth Management. Young boy on the right, 16-year-old, doesn't have a lot of wealth to manage right now, but he may, given next few years or so.
Well, if this is an indication of things to come, yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Dave. I think the other thing it's really kind of interesting, you know, we're seeing, you know, second generation fathers and sons. I mean, this year, Parker Claxton played. His father won the Sunnehanna Amateur, beat Alan Doyle and David Duval, in fact. He's a head professional in Georgia. David Fiora is his uncle Frank, who you may remember, Dave, who was won the Western Amateur and was an outstanding player, played at North Carolina, and was a Walker Cupper. You know, we're seeing more and more of that, which is you know, a lot of fun.
More looks at this par 3. Again, number 14, 227 yards. Like you mentioned, one of the more difficult holes on the golf course. At 227, not the longest par 3 on this course either.
No, but the seventh is longer, but downhill. This is, you know, what makes it, you know, people think, well, it's down when it makes it easier while you're hitting less club. When you're playing downwind to a green that works away from you, it's firm. It's hard to keep a ball on the green. In fact, Alan Doyle said when he played this hole, he either played toward the front fringe or the back rough, depending on the hole location, because he had a very low ball flight, so he couldn't keep the ball on the green.
Tillinghast loved those par 3s, whether it be Winged Foot, the West Course, number 10, number 7 as well, number 3 on the West Course is where Billy Casper laid up for 4 days en route to winning his 1959 U.S. Open. Tricky shot here for the lefty. But you can have some tricky shots when you're leading by 5.
Ball's a little above the face, left-hander. Ball's going to get pulled a little right here.
Lead is now down to 4. Did he get it up there? Nice effort right there. This kid has just got his game completely under control.
There's not been any sign of nerves or it's hard to believe that he's going to have a hiccup, but things happen.
The lead has been trimmed to 4, but still only 4 holes remaining once he polishes that one up right there. Oh, there we go. How about another one from Ryan?
Battling all day and finally finds the secret sauce and makes 2 birdies in a row.
Getting him to 12 under. And Gabriel Palacios for his par. Guess Ryan wanted to keep the tee. Change that standard. Little walking scoreboard. Throw the deuce up there because Ryan's moved to 12 under. Gabriel Palacios 11 under. And the leader, Tyler Watts, is at 19. Cole Rook has made a birdie at number 14. So the lead is now 4 with 4 holes remaining.
He's playing a heck of a round for himself.
Mm-hmm. 3 birdies and an eagle for Cole. Had a bogey at number 2. As we take a look here at the 15, excuse me. .641 yards. Green protected on both sides by bunkers. Bunkers down the right-hand side off the tee. Well, Tillinghast gave him a tough par 5 here now.
No doubt. You know, I think if you notice, there's a cross bunker that comes back into place, a double dog leg, which is quintessential, you know, Tillinghast design. You know, there's a few things he's, you know, there was, you know, obviously George Crump was the man at Pine Valley, but 2 things that Tillinghast was in the first group that played there. And 2 things he took credit for was Hell's Half Acre and then the Redan approach shot. Was it into the 13th hole at Pine Valley? But what's interesting about the 5th at Pine Valley, excuse me, 6th at Pine Valley, excuse me, it's the 7th anyway. It's been a long week. Is that hole was originally designed as a double dog leg, and this is a double dog leg. So it was there's certain, you know, unlike Rayner, who had a specific template, Tillinghast doesn't have a template, but there's certain philosophies that he believed in. The Tiny Tim was one, which we have, and certainly the double dogleg here. But this usually plays in the prevailing wind. Again, you know, conditions. While the ball's not rolling out, it's not, you know, picking up mud, which, you know, is something we were concerned with the first day. But
Wingfoot West has that double dog leg on 15, 14.
And there's one at the 5 Farms. So again, it's something that, you know, shows up pretty consistently in its design. And Bethpage Black.
That's right.
You know, tremendous 4th hole.
So in the final grouping, Tyler Watts, currently 6 under on his round by virtue of 5 consecutive birdies on his front 9. Started at the 4th. Went through, as John Yerger has told us, just a key part of the golf course, one that you will, if you're able to tame it, goes a long way towards putting together a good round here. He went birdie, birdie, birdie through 5, 6, and 7. Had birdies on either side of that stretch as well. Added another par 5 11th. No bogeys, 6 under. And the lead is 4 shots. Playing alongside Ryan Voice, who's even on his round, a couple of birdies, a couple of bogeys. Excuse me, he got 3 birdies, a double and a bogey. Couple of birdies, couple of bogeys for Gabriel Palacios, also playing in this final starting time. Hard for a guy like Cole Rook, who's playing a nice round today. But the guy ahead of you, 4 shots ahead of you, you've got 4 holes remaining yourself, but 4 shots ahead of you isn't making a mistake all day.
uh, again, you don't want to get too far ahead of yourself, but I mean, he has played what can only be called a pretty flawless round of golf. You know, definitely playing with himself. I think the fact that he pulled out 3 wood on 12 shows a guy who's got his thinking. He's thinking the right way and managing the position he's in the golf course in a manner that's really perfectly aligned.
Trolio, is also 4 under on his round. He's 12 under for the tournament, 7 shots back in his share of third.
Yeah, the year that Doyle won and set the record, I think he won by 12 strokes. And the course was firm and fast. We talked about this the other day, Dave, and which kind of the course really does set up well for Allen's game. But what he did that year is, he lapped everybody. Just, and that included in the field was Tiger Woods, I believe, finished 5th, and Justin Leonard, who finished, I think, 3rd. So it wasn't as if he was, it wasn't as if the guys he was, playing against weren't good players. They absolutely were.
So much great history happening here at this golf club over almost 100 years of amateur play and amateur competition, made possible by the members and also corporate sponsors, backers of this event, like Genmar, a proud sponsor of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Also, Wells Fargo Advisors. The support in the community and beyond just goes on and on for amateur golf and for this particular championship. Again, almost 100 years. Started out, first iteration as a match play event, then early 1950s, mid 1950s became the first club-sponsored 72-hole amateur event in the country. Palacios with a big swing at this par 5.
The only place that he does not want to play it here is he does not want to miss right. There's plenty of room up there.
And the leader can play it a little more conservatively.
Where'd he hit it?
I know we're about to lose you as you go to your co-chairman duties here of this tournament, but John Yerger, if you would just your thoughts about this, the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur and the future. What does it hold, do you think, for this championship, for amateur golf? There's a lot to be
there's
discussed.
There's a lot going on within amateur golf and college golf at the same time, and I think there's a lot of concerns. And there are solutions to these issues, and they're not particularly complicated, but to get people to work together for a common goal at times can be, difficult. This is important to our community, but I think within, within the Elite Amateur Series, you have tournaments with 700 years of history, and I think that to lose that component of the game would be a loss for everybody, and we've got to figure some things out. We got to get people working together. There's got to be some, communication. You need to be optimistic. Things flow and they change. Again, you got to be optimistic that you can work these things out. But I think again, the comments by Colin Morikawa, I think, are an affirmation of what we've been about. I think, as they said, the 2014 field had Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, and Bryson DeChambeau in it. So there's some things that we've done right over a period of time. And, we're committed to trying to make sure we have a great championship that's in keeping with the history that we've developed over 85 years. And, we want to make sure that it continues. And, in our community is, we've lost a lot here with the loss of steel industry, and to have something better than it was when it started 85 years. And really, I think even within golf, there's a lot of tournaments that were great tournaments that no longer exist. So for this to still be, where we are in golf, is, I think a testament to not just this committee, but all the former committee members and members of the club that have gone out of their way to support this and understand its importance, not just to Sunnehanna, but also, I said, to the community as a whole. So I want to say thank you to you for being here, Dave. You've been a great, done a great job. Thank the folks from CGN. I think this has been overall incredibly positive for our tournament, and we look forward to working with you in the future.
I hope so, because this tournament, like you said, for 85 years, maybe there's a bit of a sense of inertia among golf fans who would feel like the Sunnehanna Amateur, if it's not around, then amateur golf is not around. One of the most important tournaments.
Oh, you would hope so, but again, I think by doing what we're doing today is an indication. I think I've said before, if you do not change, you ensure mediocrity and you guarantee obsolescence. Things change. I think the goal here is, this is the first step, and it's a learning process for CGN's learning process for you. Obviously, it's a learning process for us. Hey, what do we think we can do that better? And I think people seeing Tyler Watts on television today gives them an idea of wanting to play, but it's just we just help raise his profile, and hopefully he raises ours at the same time. So these things all can be mutually beneficial, and that's a good thing. So again, we really appreciate all the efforts of Doug and Bobby, and again yourself, and it's great to have you back in Pennsylvania, and especially since you went to school in Lewisburg, and there's more that goes on in Johnstown than Lewisburg.
It goes on many places than Lewisburg, but that wonderful institution, Bucknell University, is just
go Bison.
One of my favorite places to go Bison. Exactly right. I have to tell you, part of the learning curve for those who come here for the first time is how beautiful the place is, how wonderful the course is, and just how warm the membership is in terms of supporting not just their amateur, the Sunnehanna Amateur, but also the game of golf and amateur golf in general.
Yeah, thank you, Dave. Yeah, I would say those that are viewing, if you'd like to come and play the course, it doesn't mean you can play anytime, but we certainly welcome guest play. And I think the other thing that you have is it's an experience to you saw the photos. There's only one clubhouse in America where you're going to see a picture of a 15-year-old Jack Nicklaus, an 18-year-old Palmer, and a 16-year-old Tiger Woods, and it's in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, and that's that's pretty remarkable when you think about it. So we've been blessed that other people had great vision, especially Charlie Kunkel, the committee of people like Bill Price, who was a chairman for a long time, and again, the members of the club, fellow committee members who've kept this going, and we're trying to do the best we can to sustain what they started and maintain. So again, thank you so much for being here.
The downside is the secret is out, so these roads may get crowded. Who knows?
We'd love to have that.
If they build it.
Anyway,
if they stream it, they will come.
They're welcome anytime. So again, thank you guys. Greatly appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
That's John Yerger, co-tournament chairman of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Fine amateur player himself, played in college, Alabama, LSU, Georgia, LSU. Ooh, that was a big mistake right there. Wound up at LSU, which is, frankly, if that happens for you, you're doing something right in life. My stepbrother, Wayne Bunch, at LSU in Baton Rouge when John was there. And you can just tell from John Yerger, from all the members that I've met, committee members, members of the community that aren't even members at Sunnehanna Country Club, excuse me. Loving this tournament and what it represents. The purest form of the game, amateur enjoyment of the game, the highest levels of competition. And we're seeing just a virtuoso performance here from Tyler Watts, the 16-year-old, who, and I don't want to get too far ahead of myself here on this par 5 15th hole, was on the verge of shattering the scoring record set by Alan Doyle here. He's 5 shots clear of the record right now. He's going to set it in a year where Cole Rook might also break the record, scoring record, after shooting 67 in his opening round, 66 in his next two. He's currently 4 under, might shoot another 66, but Hard to catch a guy at the top who opens in 66, then has his high round of the week in round number 2 of the 67. That's Tyler Watts. Then shoots 64 in round 3 for a one-shot lead. Then Tyler goes 6 under through 14 holes, where he is right now on the 15th green in round number 4. Tough to catch a player who has that kind of, I guess, precocious understanding of the game, and whose strategy really is matching his talent. Knows when to play aggressively, had 5 consecutive birdies on the front 9, and when to play conservatively. Did so on the 12th hole when he took a 3-wood off the tee. That Tyler Watts coming off of a birdie at 11. He could try and keep that accelerator going, trying to shoot 59, trying to smash the record, trying to win by a record margin. But no, he played conservatively on a difficult hole, the par 4. He has this par 5. He's got another par 3 the next hole. That's the 16th. Then a pair of par 4s, including the short par 4 18th in front of him. So if he stays within himself, as you see him practicing there a little bit on the green at number 15, stays within himself, he could win one of the most important titles in amateur golf. John, talking about the history, alluded to the fact that Xander Schauffele, Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau all competed in the same Sunnehanna Amateur. That back in 2014. 1 decade later, those 3 would account for the Grand Slam of golf, all 4 major championships. Last year won by people who, when they were amateurs, played in this tournament at this country club. Now Ryan Voice, who is even on his round from off the green here at the par 5 15th. Double break, a really nice read right there. Next to play, the tournament leader, currently 138th in terms of the World Amateur Golf Rankings, number 6 in the AJGA rankings. Tyler Watts got to 83rd in the WAGR, which is the colloquial term for the World Amateur Golf Rankings. Runner-up in the Junior Am last year. 4th in the AJGA's Rolex Tournament of Champions last year. Leading by 4 with 4 remaining. Did have a double break, kept it out there on the left. Rather than marking and having his ball mark anywhere around the hole right in front of Gabriel Palacios's birdie putt here, Ryan Voice putted in, cleared the way, and now Gabriel, even on his round. Just burned the edge. Thought he had it, big head shaker from the Argentine, and he'll move on to the par 3 16th. 16, the final par 3 on the golf course. 182 yards. Bunker short right, short left, and long left as well. Pretty much center of the green, 28 paces on. About 8 paces past the midway point this is. And you can see not exactly a volcano green, but one where the slopes move away from the middle. But at 182 yards, should give the players an opportunity to make birdie here, because this hole, not the shortest of the par 3s on this golf course, but got a couple that are over 200 yards, 241 yards, the 7th hole. 14 is 227. But as with many Tillinghast designs, sure, there's protections around the green, but the green itself, you need to understand the subtleties, the undulations, as they wait for play to finish up on the green. All three made 5 at the final par 5 on the golf course. We've got this par 3 and back-to-back par 4s. 17, one of the longer par 4s on the golf course. Second longest par 4 on the course. Number 18, though it's uphill a little bit. 18 is less than 400 yards and certainly has been a birdie hole much of the week. Ryan Voyce is 56th in the World Amateur Golf Rankings. Decent tee shot. Next up, the leader, Tyler Watts. Tyler leading by 4 with 3 holes remaining. Hasn't had a bogey all day. Just been on cruise control when he hasn't been lighting it up like that 5 consecutive birdie stretch on the opening 9. Didn't seem overly satisfied with it, but that's a fine shot right there. He'll have another birdie putt. Never want to count your chickens in an amateur event or any golf, especially a stroke play tournament. But he's in good position. Tyler Watts now, Gabriel Palacios. Beautiful swing, a lot of lag, a lot of power. And he's in great position for another birdie putt. As we take a moment, hear from some of those supporting this championship. We'll be back after this.
Life would be easier if we were upfront about our mental health. But it doesn't work like that. To help our members feel more confident, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield has added over 6,000 mental health professionals, so everyone can get the right care right away. Because whatever you have on the inside deserves to be seen. Because life, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield.
No matter the season, we're always in full swing. When it comes to cutting-edge orthopedics and sports medicine, Conema Health System is your winning team. This all-star team is scrubbed and ready all year round. Whether you're sidelined by a sports injury, undergoing surgery, or dealing with a traumatic injury, Conema's team will get you back in the game. From life-saving trauma care to advanced orthopedic procedures, we're here to get you back to your best, no matter what life throws your way. Our MVPs, our surgeons, performing at their peak when every second counts. And our playmakers, those who make the valuable assists, our practitioners, our nurses, and our staff, ensuring you get the best care and stay on track toward your optimal recovery. When your health and mobility are on the line, we provide championship-level care because your health is our victory.
First Summit.
Leader of this tournament by 4 shots, that's Tyler Watts, again 16 years old. Going to be a high school senior. Had a scorching streak in a difficult part of the opening 9. Made 5 consecutive birdies through that streak and beyond. Made another birdie on the second 9. No bogeys on his card. Currently 5 shots clear of the 72-hole scoring record set by Alan Doyle at 14 under. Top 5 finish in his most recent start at junior tournament, the TaylorMade, or the Team TaylorMade Invitational. Ryan Vuis was inside the top 100 at the NCAA's Division I Men's National Stroke Play Championship. Got a birdie putt coming up the hill, not enough gas. Runner-up at the NCAA Urbana Regional. Top 10 of the Big Ten Men's Golf Championships. Gabriel Palacios, participant in the Arnold Palmer Cup. Won the Mayan Open Juvenil Universitario. '11th in the Big 12 Conference Men's Golf Championship earlier this year. Currently even on his round. Three players at 12 under par, tied for third. So birdie here would move him into that group. Just a little too much respect on the left side of that hole. So Gabriel will stay at 11 under. We've seen him make a ton of putts. This is Tyler Watts. Seen him hit some great golf shots today. Been a little quiet for a bit, 4 consecutive pars on this side. 1 birdie in his last 7 holes. But this to get to 20 under par. Ooh. Just ran out of steam. Fell off at the end as well. Another par, and pars are not a bad thing for a man who wants to win the Sunnehanna Amateur. He only has 2 holes remaining, and he leads by 4. Now Ryan Vuis for his par. A little shaky there, sneaking in that left side. They'll go to the 450-yard par 4 17th. Second longest par 4 on the golf course. Bends a little right to left. Aiming bunker on the left-hand side. If you sneak it too far to the right, you might find that bunker on the right-hand side, and the green well protected. 3 bunkers on the left, 2 on the right. Falling off as a Tillinghast green will from back to front, and from back left to front right more specifically. Want to aim at or negotiate going over that first bunker again. 450 yards for this par 4. Final hole in the golf course, less than 400 yards the par 4 is. Fairway moves the ball from right to left along the nature of the dog leg as well. Ryan Vuis first to play. Far right side of the tee box, promoting a move from right to left, a little bit of a draw, which is what you look for on this golf course, on this golf hole. Finds the left rough. Could be some trouble cutting off the dog leg there. But the leader now on the tee with a 4-shot lead. Big swing at it. Hitting driver, quick to the tee. Sizable gallery has formed, perfect position for his drive, and maybe the last really difficult shot on the golf course for Tyler Watts. Gabriel Palacios. Also quick to the tee, even on his round today. Currently tied for 6th. As the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur gets close to conclusion, it's worth just a look back over our shoulders at a wonderful week, and beyond that, 84 years Again, this championship started back in the 1930s as a match play event. Sunnehanna Golf Club wasn't 20 years old yet before it started. Back in the day, what was important was amateur golf. Bobby Jones had retired at that point, but Sunnehanna put on a wonderful event. Some of the champions have gone on to win on the PGA Tour. Look at all these plaques and names. Some great recent winners as well, many this year, including multiple major champions, have played in the Sunnehanna. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned a few times, all four major championship winners, or major championships, 3 winners of last year's majors were Sunnehanna competitors at one point in the same event back in 2014. The clubhouse is really a living testament, a museum to amateur golf, not just in this part of the country, but throughout the country. Jack Nicklaus played his first international and important amateur team event, or excuse me, individual event here when he was 15 years old. Tiger Woods, same thing. He had played in the junior, clearly, Tiger had, but this, his father wanted him to go figure out how to win. All these names and faces, whether it be the Colin Morikawas of the world, who's won this event halfway to a career slam. Bryson DeChambeau, you see his picture right there. Multiple major championships. Scotty Scheffler as well. There's Tiger Woods, 16-year-old, came to play here. Jack Nicklaus, when he played, enjoyed his time. There's Scotty Scheffler, but never came back to the Sunnehanna because he had, even at that age, a policy of not playing the week before major championships, preparing himself for those majors, whatever they might be, wherever they might be. And the Sunnehanna typically was the week before the U.S. Open. Didn't get a chance to come back. One of the great traditions of this championship, club members, community members here in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, those who love the game of golf, particularly amateur golf, will come out, follow this final grouping all the way to the championship, to the trophy ceremony, the prize giving, which is looking more and more like 16-year-old Tyler Watts will become the youngest player to win this tournament and do so in record-setting fashion in relation to his score. Hasn't seemed to miss a shot all day long. Put himself in a couple of tricky positions, always able to save his par. Not made a bogey yet today. 2 holes remaining, a hole and a half, really. And here he is again, position A, deep down the fairway, the shortest grass possible. Not just the golf fans of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, but also the entire community showing up. People that don't play golf coming out to the Sunnehanna. It's been that way for close to a century. They get to learn a little bit about these golfers who will go on to do different things in the game of golf, some continuing to compete as amateurs, some trying to become professional, and some becoming household names. At 16 years old, Tyler Watts, second shot here at the par 4 17th. Well, Tyler hasn't bogeyed either of the final 2 holes all week long. Made birdie a couple of times here at number 17. Par the 18th all 3 previous rounds. Gabriel Palacios hasn't had the similar luck at 17. He's made 4 here the first 3 rounds. But he did birdie 18 the first 2 rounds. Made par at the 18th yesterday. Shot 29 actually yesterday on his incoming 9. Great way to cap off a 64. Here's his second. Little pull. Maybe trying to get it to move to the right. pull usually goes a little bit deeper in the green, but this one front left side of the green as Ryan Voice with his second. Ryan's had a more difficult relationship with 17 than his two fellow competitors. He made bogey here yesterday. Par the first 2 holes. He's playing 17 over par. He could even it up if he makes that putt up the hill. As we mentioned, pretty steep uphill from the front to the back of the green. Specifically front right to back left. So there's some movement in those putts. When it was reconstituted into an amateur stroke play event, a 72-hole amateur stroke play event, back in 1954, there was also a focus on community, on holding an event that all the members would show up for and all the amateurs would join up and be part of as well. Wives of the amateur competitors were encouraged to attend, families from the community, specifically starting with Sunnehanna Country Club members, but filtering throughout the community, would host these amateur players. And years later, as we heard from Colin Morikawa earlier this week in his news conference at Oakmont Country Club, the U.S. Open, still in touch with those family members from a decade ago when he played in and won the Sunnehanna Amateur. He finished runner-up the second year, 2017, in a playoff, bogeyed the final hole actually, dropped back into a playoff against the #1 ranked amateur player in the world. But he would go on to do okay after that, halfway to the career slam, having won a PGA championship and then the Open Championship. There are dreams of a Colin Morikawa-like start to their professional careers for all of the players in this final grouping. And the way they've played, with Tyler Watts just completely in control of his game, and currently with a 4-shot lead with a hole and a quarter left. But the other 2 players he's playing with, Ryan Voice and Gabriel Palacios, each of those players could have had things go a little bit sideways today as far as their scoring was concerned. If you take a look at Ryan, he made birdie at number 4, but then drop shots, double bogey at number 6, a bogey at number 7, but corrected. The course correction led to 5 consecutive pars, then birdies at number 13 and 14. He's got it back to 2 under on the second 9, but even for his day. Gabriel Palacios also even on his day, but he started with a bogey. Could have gotten away from him. Had another bogey and a couple of birdies. He's also even on his round. Now the leader, Tyler Watts, from off the green here at number 17. Going to move pretty hard from his left to his right. He's giving it a lot of room. As it slows, it certainly will snap more to his right as well. That probably looks like he was distracted for a second there. Don't want to conjecture, but that probably the least inspiring shot we've seen from Tyler Watts all day as he gets closer and closer to the scoreboard at the 18th that has his name up on top by 4 shots. Maybe a little bit of pressure, but again, looks like it might have been distraction there as well. Let's remember 18, a short uphill par 4. Less than 400 yards in length. Not a bad place to be with a 3 or 4 shot lead. A lot at stake in this elite amateur series event. World Amateur Golf ranking points. Not among the least things available for a man like Ryan Voice, who's a member of the University of Illinois golf team. And while he's not going to win this tournament, this birdie could go a long way, move him up into a share of 4th. well read, but not quite enough. Ryan opened in 65, ballooned to a 68, 65 in round 3. At even par currently. This will be his highest round of the week. Gabriel Palacios will be next to play for his birdie. Again, shot 64 yesterday after rounds of 67, 68. Just not enough. Another short putt. You saw Ryan quickly get in there and move his marker back. He can do that whenever he wants. The quicker you move it back, the less likely you are to forget where you moved your ball mark to. Tiger Woods almost lost the U.S. Amateur to Steve Scott, having forgotten to replace his ball mark from where he had moved it. Steve reminded Tiger, I think it was the 17th hole, that he needed to do that or lose the hole, playing from a wrong position on the green. And now to stay bogey-free, Tyler Watts. Again, short, not enough. The lead will now drop to 3. The 16-year-old, turns out, is human. And competitors who are active at this level always have a goal. Don't make a 5 on your scorecard. No bogeys on the scorecard. Certainly winning the tournament, but games within the games keep the players sharp and keep them going. Now Ryan to stay even par today in a share of 4th. On to the final hole of this, the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. A 392-yard par 4 coming up the hill. Gentle move from left to right. One of the holes on the golf course where players will be expecting themselves to make a birdie. Tyler Watts does not need to do that as you take a look at the green. Relatively flat compared to a number of the others. This hole was redesigned after Tillinghast was completed. Only about 45 years old, this hole, with bunkers off the tee on the left-hand side as Watts' name moves in the wrong direction for the first time all day, dropping from 19 under to 18 under par. Still, though, 5 under on his round. Shot 6 under 64 yesterday. And Ryan Voice on the tee to lead off this group. Back to the tee, Gabriel Palacios. Quick to the tee for Gabriel, and his drive finds the fairway. And now Tyler Watts. confidently to his tee as well. And he's also in the fairway. The lead is 3 with 1 hole remaining. While we have a moment, let's pause and say thanks to some of those who have made this broadcast possible. We're back after this.
At Bank, we're more than just bankers. We're your neighbors, your friends, your partners through every step of life. And now we're helping you enjoy even more of life's moments with First Summit Bank's First Perks. With First Perks, you'll get exclusive discounts on shopping, dining, and entertainment just for being part of our community. Car trouble? No problem. Roadside assistance is just a tap away. Because at First Summit Bank, we're always here when you need us. Wherever life takes you, First Perks goes with you. Sign up today and start enjoying the perks of better banking. First Summit Bank, your community bank.
The final grouping walking towards their tee shots at the 18th. Matter pretty firmly in hand for Tyler Watts with a 3-shot lead. 4 shots clear of the scoring record. Would become the youngest player to win this championship. Speaking of winning this championship, from the time they reconstituted and made it an amateur tournament, 72 holes at stroke play, Don Cherry, PGA Tour player, won the first one in 54. You had Bill Hindman, legendary amateur, winning just 4 years later. The year after that, Tommy Aaron, who would go on to win the Masters tournament. More great amateur players. Some tour players like Leonard Thompson, Howard Twitty were winners in the late 60s, early 70s, as was Mark Hayes. More major champions like Ben Crenshaw. Ben won in 1973. The era of Jay Sigel started in 1976. He won in 78 as well. In between Sigel, 76 and 78 was John Cook, who won in 77 and 79. Bobby Clampett, heck of a PGA Tour player as well, won it in 80. 81 was Players Champion Jody Mudd. Brad Faxon, longtime PGA Tour player, as well as Dillard Pruitt. In 1982 and 83, you saw Scott Verplank in 84 winning this tournament. In 85, he won this tournament, the Western Amateur and the Western Open as an amateur. Billy Andrade won in 86. He was a tremendous PGA Tour player as well, multiple wins. Alan Doyle would go on to win on the Korn Ferry Tour and multiple times Player of the Year also on the PGA Tour Champions. He won a few times, 4 times, starting in 1989. John Harris would win the U.S. Amateur. He won here in 1995. Lucas Glover would go on to win a U.S. Open. He won in 2001. These are the names that Tyler Watts will put his name next to if he can muster a win here with a 3-shot lead and 1 full swing remaining. Ricky Fowler won back-to-back, 2007, 2008, right after Webb Simpson, U.S. Open champion, won it in 2006. Again, the names on the competitors list at the Sunnehanna Amateur are legendary, but the champions just as impressive. 2016, it was Colin Morikawa. Alex Smalley, PGA Tour winner, won back-to-back in 2019 after winning in 2018. Preston Summerhays with a win in 2020. Got to be some nerves there for the 16-year-old. But Ryan Vuis, who began the day closer to the leader, Watts, than anybody else on the golf course at 12 under, has had an even par round, is currently tied for 4th, and that's a nice shot here at the 18th. We'll have an opportunity for birdie. Birdie can give him a share of 3rd. Doesn't have enough to catch up with Cole Rook, who is currently 15 under and in the clubhouse. Now Tyler Watts, last full swing of the day. Safely aboard below the hole where you have to be on a Tillinghast green. Just an exemplary shot like we've seen from him all day long. Gabriel Palacios, his second at 18. So all three players in the final group have found the green here at 18. All have hit tremendous second shots. All will have birdie putts to close their appearance here at the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. But all eyes now on Tyler Watts, the 16-year-old out of Alabama. Already a very storied junior career. About to win one of the most prestigious events in the overall amateur game. The junior about to take another big step. Join the list of all those champions I mentioned, many major champions. Sunnehanna Country Club members lining the 18th green. Members of Johnstown, Pennsylvania community. Not just golfers, but those who support any competition. In the gallery to see this record-breaking achievement. A couple records about to fall. I'm not going to do the math on how many putts he needs to take in order to break the record of 14 under set by Alan Doyle, but at 18 under, he's in pretty good shape below the hole. He'll shatter that record and also become the youngest to win the Sunnehanna Amateur. The progression, education, career, evolution of Tyler Watts and his golf game continues. Even with a 3-shot lead, even with a 8-foot birdie putt coming up the hill. It's a nervous time for Tyler Watts. Again, 16 years old. He knows what this title means. He's seen the pictures in the clubhouse, in the locker room. He's seen the names on all of the keepsakes from years past, field lists. Every player will autograph one of those field lists as they register. And the lists from year to year are posted all around this clubhouse. So you see many familiar names, many one-name players. Arnold, Jack, Tiger, Scotty, Ricky, Jordan. They've all played here. Now this is Gabriel Palacios. 4 birdie at the 18th. To shoot 69, break 70 all 4 rounds, and grab a share of 4th. Birdie putt is on the way. Well done for the young man from Guatemala City. Palacios under par for the first time all day. 67, 68, 64, 69. Ryan Voice for his birdie, also to shoot under par, also to break 70 for the 4th time this week. Missed on the low side, that kind of a day for Ryan. To putt up and shoot 70 after opening in 65, 68 in round number 2, 65 in round 3, even par 70. And a share of 4th in round 4. Now the stage is clear and set for the 16-year-old to break 2 long-standing records and become winner and champion of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Tyler Watts for birdie and a round of 64. How about that? The young 16-year-old man, just 64 in his final 2 rounds, 128 in the final 2 rounds of the Sunnehanna Amateur. It is something to behold, the way this young man can play. Again, 6 under par, 1 bogey on his scorecard, and he knows what a win in this tournament means. Forget the record, which he beat by 5 shots, and the record for youngest player to win this tournament. Tyler Watts now has put his name on a trophy that has many major champions, even more PGA Tour winners, and exceptional amateur players dating back to the 1930s. And to think he'll be a high school senior next year. Tyler Watts, as they prepare for the prize giving, doing what is pretty common nowadays, checking the phone, seeing which family members, which friends have been watching the stream, watching on the computer on the Sunnehanna.org website. Seeing him at 16 win such an important amateur title. Everyone in this field is going to remember the year they played in the Sunnehanna Amateur. Here he is on the tee box at number 18, in great position. Approach, perfect position. Putt, perfect result. And a 4-shot win. 19 under par, 66, 67. Then catch this, final 2 rounds. How do PGA Tour players and champions and majors play on the weekend? That determines their fate. 64-64. Tyler Watts winning the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur.
Doesn't matter for the little picture. I'm free to get it, but I have to have that one.
Troy's on the right, Bo's in the middle, and Cam's on the left.
Don't even come out now. Don't come out. Yeah.
No, it's okay. They're gonna be in the picture right now.
Do not come out now.
Yeah.
I learned that on my wedding day 30 years ago.
Yeah, did you check it? Did it work? Check. No, it's the whole time. Is this the same one we use? Batteries are good. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test. Okay.
Really? hits the shit out of it. He's young, man. Like, he might get him up here. Yeah, that's true. Oh, come on, damn it. Don't even. What the hell? I just can't wait. It's been beautiful all day. And now the sun comes out. Alright, Linda, where the hell are you?
I think it's just a pocket.
I'm in. I mean, look at that trophy. That is that trophy.
I'm not fixed.
I think all the names up Let's talk one. Standing hard, do you truly have been hard? I was like, it's not going to be that hard. It's like, yeah, but I think it's an oven. So when I got Rory's tee shot, we were sitting on tee 2 because I thought Bryson was going oh yeah, like when there's two.
Now there's nothing to worry about.
I got a really good view of strike on accident, and I was the first
Jackson's mom call your mom proposes her?
yes,
yeah. So, anyway.
Yeah, man.
Well, we'll get him another one.
No, I know, but I mean.
I know. Yeah, you put it on.
You're the man. You are the man.
See you later. Oh, man.
It's freaking good. That was never not going in. Oh, hey.
I rolled it all day.
That was you made that fun.
Nice. I bogeyed 17. I had to shoot 61. I had 145 in middle. I thought I had a chance, maybe. I didn't. She was like that far off the green.
The only bad shot you did today.
Honestly, yes. One bad shot. Actually, I hit one bad shot on the 14. I hit 4 iron like short right, and I was like choked up the shaft, but I chipped it to 4 foot. What? I was feeling it today, dude. My front nine. That was stupid. I looked made a 45.
Tyler Watts, would you please join us in the middle of 18 green?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome so much to the closing ceremony of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Before we recognize our top finishers and crown our champion, on behalf of Sunnehanna Country Club and people who work so hard to make this event possible, I'd like to recognize some of them. And I would ask these two gentlemen to stand forward when I call their names. John, just so you know, forward is stuff like this. Okay? Got that. Our co-chairman, John Yerger, forward, and Brian Cirillo. Believe me when I tell you these two guys do a yeoman's job, and we're not going to sing, but could I get a collective? This is Brian's 70th birthday, so just yell, happy birthday, Brian. Also, some other people that are very, very important to this event is our Grounds and Greens Superintendent, Mark Leppert. Steve is not here. Steve Sweeney's probably out on the ground crew. I think if you ask the players, they'll tell you that given the challenges of the weather we've had this spring, this golf course was in impeccable shape. So, folks, thank you for that. Also, to John Clinchock, he was here a moment ago, from our head golf professional, Chris Grinnell, our assistant professional, and Kathy Clinchock, who really runs the pro shop. We thank them for all the work and the pro shop staff because they make this happen. I'm sure she's inside somewhere doing some great work. Our clubhouse manager, Stephanie Ross.
She's by the scoreboard.
She's at the scoreboard? There she is. Okay. Well, you can walk out a little bit. Stephanie and her assistant, Jenna Boring. Is Jenna out here? There's Jenna and their staff. If you had anything to do inside, if you had anything to eat outside, anywhere, it's because of those two ladies over there and their incredible staff. And thank you so much. It's not easy. Believe me, there's few people here that are happier this week is over than those two standing over there, but they did a great job. We also have to thank, not by name because you've seen it in the program, our corporate sponsors. There's a lot that goes into this event. It doesn't happen without their strong community support, and we're so thankful. Members of the amateur committee who stand behind me. I want to thank Pete Bearjar and his crew of volunteers. They were running you guys, players, down to the range and back. Doing Jolene Wester, who's here somewhere. I know I saw her. She organized and recruited our host families who annually make the Sunnehanna Am so welcoming. I hear it from players all the time. They just love that. They form relationships with some of these family members that will last, in some cases, for decades. We also want to thank those of you that aren't members but are members of the community that come up every year and give our players support because that's all very important. Okay, that's all the important stuff I have to do. I'm going to ask Linda Thompson, who is the president of Sunnehanna Country Club, to just step forward. Just stand around the flag there, Linda, if you want. Do you guys want to help? I think you two should be involved. Brian, you come up and for the presentation of our awards. You want to do it behind the table where they're at? Right here. Okay. So, would you please join me in welcoming at 13 under par, our third place finisher, John Daniel Colbreth. Come on up, John. Would you now join me in welcoming our second place finisher at 15 under par, which would have broken the Sunnehanna Amateur record for a four-hole event. But today it's good for second place. It's still an outstanding 4 rounds of golf. Please welcome Cole Ruick. And now the moment we've been waiting for. This young man, who is our 2025 champion, is a junior in high school. That's just amazing to me, but what that says is the incredible growth of this great game that we love, and amateur golf, where careers are being defined. You all know the people that have played here and are now playing on the PGA Tour. The record, 4-day record of the Sunnehanna Amateur was 14 under par, which was set by Alan Doyle in 1992. Which means some of these competitors today weren't born yet when that record was set. That last round of that record-setting year, I walked all 18 holes with Alan, and he was telling me how special he felt to be able to shoot a score of that nature on this golf course. Well, not only did our champion beat that record, he obliterated it. And there's not much you can say other than congratulations and please a warm welcome for an incredibly talented young man who shoots 19 under par to blow away our record by 5 shots. Your 2025 Sunnehanna Amateur Tournament champion, Mr. Tyler Watts. Tyler, you get an award, and you're going to get a jacket. We think the jacket might be a little big, but we'll get you one that fits. Linda, would you also present him?
He is also the youngest champion.
Well, there you go. He's the youngest champion in Sunnehanna Amateur history. Linda, you want to just bring?
If I can get John to take this one for a second. Thank you. Congratulations on an amazing.
Way to go, Tyler.
That's a little bit.
Youngest champion ever. You're 17, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
How long have you been playing golf?
Since I was about 5 years old, so 12 years now, I guess.
Obviously, you must have an affinity, a love for the game.
Absolutely, yeah. This is, coming out here and playing golf every day. It's like the best sport that you can play, and I'm just really honored to be your champion.
Well, we're honored to have you as our champion. Tell me just briefly what you're going to take away from this week. What are you going to tell your friends when you get back home?
Well, I still got 2 more weeks on the road, so it's going to be a while until I can talk to my buddies back at home. But yeah, just taking away how mentally tough I was this week. I think this week took a lot out of me, and the weather wasn't very cooperative, but it was a long week and got it done.
All right, college coming up. Where are you going?
University of Tennessee. Go Vols.
All right, and you want to play pro golf?
Absolutely.
Well, we're looking forward to it, buddy. I'm telling you, 19 under on this golf course is pretty special. Ladies and gentlemen, your 2025 Sunnehanna Amateur champion, Tyler Watts. Thank you all. Thank you all for being with us. Thank you all for being here this week, and we'll see you next year.
Hey, let's get the 3 right here. Yeah, right. There you go.
But why don't we give him this bro?
You want the big one? Yeah. We're going to switch you out with this one. Okay, that's yours, and this is this. Yeah. Can you guys just back up a little bit? Right there, good. Yeah, get used to holding that shit. All right, you guys ready? Okay, here we go. A couple more. Anybody else? Yep. Good? Yep. Get in there, buddy. Yep.
Everything just stayed north.
Thank you so much, Ebar.
Thank you. I'm going to grab one more guy. Okay, here we go. Last one. Thanks. Hey, Tyler, we're going to grab you. We're going to need that, but over on the other, the first team.
Okay.
For some portraits.
I got
Take a rest.
Yeah. We'll get you one that fits. Don't worry about it.
No, I was excited to my 18th walk up. I just can't wait to see it. I'm like, I know it's coming.
I mean, us golfers are all pretty small. You didn't think about making it a little smaller than that.
No. How many 17-year-olds they got playing?
Yeah, trust me. Trust me.
I'm still like 5'9".
Hey, you know.
I mean, I'm not on your level.
Well,
Here's the thing. You keep talking, you're not getting another one.
Picture. This is your pass, the U.S. Amateur. You're now automatically exempt. So you want to you guys to take a picture of that with him for as well.
get in there, John. That's Tillinghast stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we need to send this to the USGA then as well. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me, Ben.
Grab you really
One
quick.
more, okay?
Yes, John, hold on, guys, I'm sorry. John, one for the WPGA, please.
Oh, sure.
What an exhibition by Tyler Watts. Coming off 3 tremendous rounds, he lit the front 9 on fire here at Sunnehanna Country Club with his putting, his approach shots, and his overall composure. He would make 5 consecutive birdies in the most difficult part of the golf course and go from a 1-shot lead to a 1.7-shot lead. Tyler Watts was in complete control at the turn. He would add another birdie on the second 9. But hole after hole, it seemed Tyler Watts was not going to be denied. Rising senior in high school, no high school player has ever won the Sunnehanna Amateur, yet Tyler Watts played like a man on a mission. 16 years old, coming off of a 64 in round number 3, he would put together one of the great rounds in the history of this championship with another 64. Over the last 2 days, 13 birdies, just 1 bogey, that at the 17th, when the issue was absolutely decided by then. Even when he was out of position, he found a way to put himself in position for another birdie. On the 18th hole, position A off the tee. Not much left for his second shot. Not much drama left with a 3-shot lead. Still showed the skill and touch to put it exactly where you need to. Below the hole on these Tillinghast greens, in position for his final birdie. This one at the 18th, to polish off a performance that made him the youngest winner in the tournament's history, and also break the scoring record by 5 shots. Back in 2007, another young man who wore that hat with that logo won this tournament. After his senior year in high school, he became the youngest player to win the Sunnehanna Amateur. That was Ricky Fowler. 15 years prior to that, in 1992, a gentleman who was a mid-amateur, Alan Doyle. Wonderful amateur career, ended up turning professional late in his life, and ended up going out on PGA Tour champions. Alan Doyle set the scoring record back in 1992 that is no longer. It belongs, after 33 years now, to Tyler Watts. Again, the 16-year-old who's had a marvelous junior golf career has come to Sunnehanna Country Club for this, one of the most important tournaments on the amateur schedule year in, year out. Has been so for almost a century. A.W. Tillinghast designed some wonderful courses. Sunnehanna Country Club is one of them. And the membership came together in 1954 to reconstitute their amateur invitational and create the first ever club-sponsored 72-hole amateur event in American golf. It has gone on to become one of the elite tournaments in our game, and Tyler Watts, the most recent champion. Congratulations to all the players who entered this year's tournament, and congratulations to those who made the cut in the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. But mostly congratulations to Tyler Watts for putting his name next to those who have won this tournament, many of whom have gone on to win PGA Tour events, major championships, and also become great players in the amateur game. Thank you for joining us in our live stream of the 84th Sunnehanna Amateur. Tyler Watts, congratulations on your victory.
I sent it to you. Send it to Doug. Your audio might be good. Oh, you couldn't pick it up? I heard it. I got the phone. The audio? Yes.